I can see the sexy aunt's concerns. Black Stockings manager. Xingcheng. One afternoon. Taking advantage of the manager's meeting, Luffy slipped into the restroom with his Bluetooth earphones, quietly indulging in some paid business. As soon as he squatted down, his attention was grabbed by Miss A Zhu, who suddenly appeared on his phone. Whoa! This is awesome! This small waist, those long legs, and this grapefruit that's even shakier than Douyin. No way! I have to reward myself. With that, he slammed the door shut, forcing his business back in, and immediately got up to find his little brother. After all these years, when there is something good, he must share it. But just as he was about to call his buddy, the screen suddenly went black. The alluring Miss A Zhu disappeared, and a few lines of pale text filled the screen. If given the chance to choose, which option would you select? A. Return to the womb. B. Be reborn. C. Mutate. D. The apocalypse. Luffy stared at the four options for a moment, then proceeded to angrily bash the screen. I pick your ass. Can't you see I'm busy breeding the next generation? In a fit of frustration, he randomly tapped some options, not giving it much thought. With so many telecom scams these days, it's better to trust the Douyin girls than these ads. At least they are real women. Moments later, after a flash of blue light, the screen returned to normal. Luffy didn't think much of it and resumed his previous activities. 45 minutes later. Luffy rushed out of the restroom, his hands still unwashed. He was running frantically, thinking to himself, I'm screwed. Miss A Zhu was so enticing that he had lost track of time while ogling her. Who would thought he'd forget the time? It's true what they say, lust is a double-edged sword, it hurts both the body and the wallet. Now, all he hoped was that the meeting wasn't over yet. Otherwise, if they found out, his salary would definitely be docked. Just as he reached his workstation and was about to feel relieved, a sharp voice exploded from behind. Luffy! Do you know it's working hours right now? You spent half an hour in the restroom. Do you even deserve the 3,500 salary the company pays you? Luffy turned around abruptly. He saw a high-spirited beauty in black stockings glaring at him as if she were about to swallow him whole. Seeing the furious Liu Yu, his boss, walking toward him, Luffy couldn't help but swallow hard. He silently vowed, one day, I'm going to put this woman in her place. Liu Yu, being no fool, knew exactly what Luffy's expression meant. He was fantasizing. This kind of lowly employee always seemed to be sneaking peeks at others. She was growing more and more disgusted with him. She didn't mind being admired by others, but when the person admiring her was someone with a meager salary of 3,500 a month and no career prospects, that was another story. With that kind of salary, it wouldn't even cover the cost of her skincare routine. Why should such a person be allowed to look? It was instinct for Liu Yu to look down on men with a lower income than hers. When she noticed Luffy's eyes still glued to her, her disgust only deepened. So without hesitation, she said coldly, "What's the matter? Are you dreaming of having me?" Luffy immediately lowered his head. "No, manager, I didn't mean anything like that. With my salary, I'm not bold enough for that." Liu Yu gave him a dismissive glance. "As long as you know that. You've been absent for half an hour, so consider this a light punishment. I'll only deduct half a day's pay." Without waiting for Luffy to respond, Liu Yu turned and walked into the office, her hips swaying seductively in the black stockings and tight skirt. "I'll screw you." Watching Liu Yu's alluring figure, Luffy gritted his teeth and gave her the finger. He had swallowed his pride earlier just to avoid having his salary docked. This woman had no sense of colleague camaraderie, and now she was directly deducting half his pay. Feeling wronged, Luffy shot a death glare at her. But just as he did, something strange happened. The next second, he felt dizzy, and his vision flickered. A line of blue text appeared above his previously clear vision. Upon closer inspection, it was related to Liu Yu. Liu Yu, likes the number 69, recently misappropriated company funds for investment. What the hell? Had he been seeing things? He blinked rapidly, trying to confirm if it was just his imagination. But no matter how many times he blinked, the blue text remained. At this point, Luffy's heart skipped a beat. Damn it. Something's wrong with my eyes. Am I going blind? Just then, his colleague Li Yang, who was sitting nearby, spoke up teasingly. Nice job, old Luffy. You dared to stare at Liu Yu, that hot devil, for so long. Aren't you worried she'll notice and take revenge? Luffy turned around indifferently and responded, what's the big deal? She already deducted half my pay. Am I not allowed to take a few more looks? This is called cutting losses, you know. Liang nodded in agreement, good point, next time I'll do the same. Luffy, feeling a little uneasy, asked, hey, Liang, have you seen any blue text appear in front of me? Liang looked at him strangely, what blue text? I'm telling you, Luffy, you're not seeing things, are you? I told you, it's fine if you do that once a day, but don't overdo it. Luffy, frustrated, said, go away, I'm being serious. Did you see it or not? Seeing Luffy so serious, Liang's curiosity piqued. What kind of text is it? Why are you so worked up? Luffy didn't think much of it. Glancing toward Liu Yu's office, he quietly whispered to Liang, do you think Liu Yu likes the number 69? Liang paused, what? I didn't get it. Luffy repeated nervously, I said. Do you think that woman likes the number 69? Liang burst into laughter, holding back his smile, Luffy, how would I know? If you really want to know, you can ask her yourself. But I'll warn you, once you ask, be ready to quit. That devil will definitely give you special treatment. Seeing Liang's reaction, Luffy realized that he probably couldn't see the blue text in front of him. So he gave up on confirming it with him. Sighing, Luffy returned to his workstation, deciding to study this later after work. But it seemed that the blue text had some sort of magic, constantly drawing his attention, making it impossible to focus on his work. After struggling for a while, he decided to give up on his task and investigate this further. This time, he was smarter. He didn't rush to confirm with anyone else. Instead, he carefully recalled the details from earlier, trying to find the key to this mystery. Soon, he noticed something. If he remembered correctly, the blue text appeared only after he gave Liu Yu a death glare. If that was the case, all he needed to do was try again, right? With this thought, he immediately looked at Liang and narrowed his eyes, giving him a piercing glare. Chapter 2, I can actually see through people. Liang secretly has a crush on Song Jiawei. Holy crap! It actually works. Seeing the blue text change in front of him, Luffy was getting excited. Could it be? Could his eyes have really mutated? Could he now see other people's little secrets? His heart raced with joy. This is it, his destiny was about to change dramatically. Meanwhile, Liang was sitting beside him, working diligently. He noticed Luffy staring at him and swallowing, which made him feel uneasy. With a nervous tone, Liang spoke up, Luffy, calm down. Don't just grab anything, I'm a guy. Luffy rolled his eyes, old Lee, what are you thinking? Even if I was blind, I wouldn't look at you. Do you even know what you look like yourself? Liang was hurt, you have the nerve to say that. You're only a little taller and slightly better looking than me, but my salary is still higher than yours. It was true. Liang, with 3 years of experience at the company, made a full 500 yuan more than Luffy. His salary had already reached the shocking figure of 4,000 yuan. Luffy couldn't be bothered to argue. He raised his eyebrows and slyly leaned over to Liang's side, trying to test the accuracy of his newfound ability. Liang was startled and quickly pushed him back. Hey, we're colleagues. No need to get that close. Luffy smirked. Are you sure? Liang emphasized again, this is fine. Luffy didn't waste time and immediately blurted out the blue text he saw, old Lee, you have a crush on Song Jiawei, don't you? Liang froze, his face filled with panic as he nervously looked around to see if anyone had heard. When he realized no one was paying attention, he sighed with relief and then turned to glare at Luffy. Damn. How the hell did you know about this? You almost scared me to death. I warn you, this is a secret just between us. Don't let anyone else find out. Luffy, watching Liang's flustered reaction, felt a surge of satisfaction. He could actually see other people's secrets with his eyes. This was amazing. He decided it was time to make some easy money. With a sly grin, he turned to Liang. 100 yuan. I'll keep this secret, but if you don't pay, well, you know what'll happen. He subtly nodded in Song Jiawei's direction, his meaning clear, pay up or I'll spill the beans. Liang's breath caught in his chest as he glared at Luffy. I treated you like a brother, and now you want to extort me. Luffy tilted his head, smiling. 200 yuan, no negotiation. Li Yang, desperate, quickly pulled out 200 yuan from his wallet and slammed it onto the desk. Fine, 200. After this, we're done as colleagues. Luffy wasn't fazed at all. He gave a satisfied glance toward Song Jiawei's direction and continued to push. Old Li, you want to know how to ask your crush out for dinner? Li Yang leaned in, eager. Do you really have a way? Luffy didn't respond directly but instead extended his hand, signaling for him to make an offer. Seeing Luffy so confident, Li Yang gritted his teeth and decided to spend all his remaining cash. 600. That's all the change I have, but if you can help me get her to go out with me, it's all yours. He placed his wallet in front of Luffy, like a man who had made up his mind. Luffy smiled faintly, then focused on the blue text in his vision. Song Jiawei, I really want to go to Heidilyu tonight, but I don't have enough money, I'm so sad. After some fake contemplation, Luffy leaned closer to Li Yang and whispered, here's the plan. Li Yang was stunned, it's that simple? Will this really work? Though Song Jiawei wasn't the most stunningly beautiful girl, she had a sunny and popular charm, and she had no shortage of admirers at the company. Li Yang, being average compared to others, had always lacked the courage to ask her out, afraid of rejection. Seeing Li Yang hesitating, Luffy became impatient. Whether you believe me or not, I've told you the method. Don't blame me when this opportunity is gone. And just so you know, no matter whether you go or not, I'm keeping that money. Without waiting for a reply, Luffy swiftly grabbed the 600 yuan and shoved it into his pocket. Heh, not bad, this was almost a quarter of his salary for the month. Should he treat himself to a chicken dinner in the city after work? Li Yang looked at Luffy's grin and, with determination, marched toward Song Jiawei. Damn it, all my meal money's gone, but I'd rather lose it than not take action. 5 minutes later. Li Yang returned, his arms flailing in excitement. Holy crap, old Luffy, you're amazing. How did you know Song Jiawei wanted to eat Heidilyu tonight? Luffy remained calm, don't ask so many questions. Just tell me if it worked or not. Li Yang nodded vigorously, definitely. It worked. He then leaned in and whispered his guess, I think Song Jiawei might have a thing for me too. Luffy raised an eyebrow, what makes you say that? Li Yang was confident, when I asked her if she wanted to go, she didn't hesitate at all and said yes right away. That's got to mean something. Luffy sighed inwardly. He knew what was coming next. This was one of the 3 great illusions in office life, she likes me. Trying to explain this to a simp was like playing music to cows. He gave up on trying to correct him and went back to his desk to continue testing his new ability. Just as he settled in, the office door behind him suddenly opened. And he heard Liu Yu's sharp voice behind him. Luffy! Come to my office. The colleagues around him sent sympathetic glances in his direction. Everyone knew that anyone called to Liu Yu's office at this time would most likely face a serious scolding. But Luffy wasn't fazed. He grinned and ran to the office, secretly delighted. He'd been waiting for an opportunity to get back at Liu Yu, and here she was, delivering it right to his door. So she thinks she can deduct my salary and then scold me behind closed doors, huh? Heh, let us see how I handle her. Chapter 3, You Don't Want It. As soon as he entered the office, Luffy slammed the door shut and locked it behind him. The sight of this made Liu Yu sneer. Where were you earlier? Now you're suddenly so concerned with your image. Just a moment ago, Luffy had been so audacious, openly eyeing her. Now, she would make sure he regretted it and give him a thorough scolding. Yes. Liu Yu had called Luffy in just to vent her frustration. The reason was simple, she had just been harshly scolded by the company president, Xingcheng, over the phone for no apparent reason. With no way to defend herself, Liu Yu figured it was fair to take her anger out on one of her subordinates. Unfortunately, Luffy was the unlucky one today. She had already prepared her excuse to scold him for not working overtime the previous night. To make sure she could really unleash, Liu Yu even loosened the top button of her blouse. This would allow her to take a deeper breath and shout more freely. Glancing at her own curves, Liu Yu smirked inwardly. HMPH. Since you want to look, I'll let you look as much as you want. The more you stare, the more I'll dock your salary. My assets are not for someone like you to admire. Of course, Luffy had no idea what Liu Yu was thinking, nor would he care if he did. Once the door was closed, he turned to Liu Yu with his usual honest grin. Manager, did you need something? Liu Yu pushed her chest out slightly and gave him a half smile, locking eyes with him. Do you think I'm beautiful? Lu Fei awkwardly swallowed. He didn't want to play into her games but responded honestly, no one in this department can compete with you in this regard. This was the truth. Forgetting everything else, just Liu Yu's shape and her figure alone, she deserved to be the department manager. If he were in charge, he would also pick her. But he wasn't foolish enough to believe she was trying to seduce him. No, Liu Yu was clearly scheming something. He wasn't in a rush to call her out and decided to wait. He had the power of X-ray vision now, no need to fear her. Liu Yu pressed on, are you done looking? Should I come closer? No need, Lu Fei quickly replied, my eyesight is great. I can see even the moles on your neck clearly. Liu Yu, seeing her attempts to tempt him were not working, dropped the act. Lu Fei, you really think you can get away with this? What do you think you are, and what do you think I am? Who do you think you are, looking at me like that? You have the audacity to be lewd toward your superior during work hours. You're getting a 300 yuan salary deduction this month. Damn it. Stupid woman. Lu Fei's patience ran out. He chuckled, then casually sat down in the chair in front of her, stretching out his legs, and unabashedly sized Liu Yu up. Manager. Are you sure you want to treat me like this? Liu Yu was livid, her chest heaving in anger. She pointed at him and yelled, who gave you the courage to act so recklessly in front of me? If you're unhappy, you can go to the finance department and get your wages. Tell them I said so. Liu Yu didn't have the authority to fire him, but her extensive network of friends in high places, especially with the finance and HR departments, meant she could get away with minor things. So, on small matters, everyone turned a blind eye. Lu Fei shrugged indifferently. If you get me fired, it's no big deal. But if your little misdeeds with company funds get exposed, now that's a big issue. Liu Yu's eyes widened with panic. What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. You're trying to scare me with these made-up rumors. Dream on. Lu Fei got up, smiling faintly, and turned to face her. Manager, are you sure it's all made up? I heard President Xu plans to clean up the atmosphere at the branch office. How about I write a formal report to her? Before she could react, he nonchalantly started to walk toward the door. Misappropriating company funds was a serious offense, and if things went badly, she could end up in jail. Lu Fei was confident that Liu Yu wouldn't risk it, she wouldn't dare take a chance. As expected, just before he reached the door, Liu Yu completely panicked. Wait. She called, rushing toward him. Let us talk this through first. Lu Fei paused and looked back at her with disdain. You're talking to me like this now? Where's the arrogance you had just a moment ago? He shook his head dismissively and raised his hand in a no gesture, continuing to walk out. Liu Yu, seeing her chance slipping away, gritted her teeth and put on her most seductive voice. Oh, Lu Ji, we can work this out, can't we? Don't leave so quickly. Her voice was smooth and honeyed, making Lu Fei freeze mid-step. He turned back around, shocked. Wait. Manager, are you really going to start acting like this? Just a moment ago, she was cold and commanding. Now, she was sweetly pleading with him, like some kind of soft, helpless woman. What happened to her previous attitude? Liu Yu felt a pang of self-loathing as she saw the look of triumph on Lu Fei's face. How did I end up here? Just to keep my job, I have to act like this towards someone I've always looked down on. But Lu Fei didn't care about her internal struggles. He returned to his seat, still grinning mischievously. Manager, I have to say, I liked your previous attitude much more. This little soft girl act doesn't suit you. Liu Yu, grinding her teeth in frustration, had to mask her anger with a forced smile. Lu Fei, we're colleagues, we shouldn't make things too difficult. Is there anything you need from me? I'll do what I can, but can we just forget about this little episode? Lu Fei pretended to be surprised. Really? Liu Yu gave a serious nod. I, Liu Yu, always keep my word. Lu Fei crossed his arms. All right, then. Tell me, what is the angle of a grapefruit? Liu Yu blinked in confusion. What is the angle of a grapefruit? Lu Fei didn't answer. Instead, he pointed toward her chest, where the M-shaped cleavage from her blouse was clearly visible. Well, don't you think it's dangerous? It might kill someone if they fall into it. Liu Yu quickly crossed her arms over her chest, her face turning red with fury. You little bastard. Don't get too carried away. What does that have to do with work? Luffy shrugged in mock disappointment. Oh, manager, it has everything to do with work. You're unaware, but more than 80% of the male colleagues in the office are your loyal fans. I'm doing this for the greater good, for everyone. Liu Yu took a deep breath, struggling to keep her anger in check. This little jerk. What did he think he was? She wanted to snap at him right away, but she also feared that her misappropriating funds might actually get exposed. Sighing in resignation, she finally let her guard down and confessed, D+. Luffy's eyes widened, and he swallowed audibly. That size, you could easily have 3 kids and not be hungry. Chapter 4, Give me a shoulder massage first. Liu Yu just wanted to end it all as soon as possible, so he spoke immediately after he finished speaking. Tell me. What are your demands? How can you avoid reporting me for embezzling public funds? Luffy doesn't intend to let the other party go just like that. He joined this company shortly after graduation, and Liu Yu was the manager at that time. Over the years, I have been suppressed and scolded by this witch many times, and I am very angry. We must give the other party a hard time today and retaliate as hard as we can. So he said nothing and just kept looking Liu Yu up and down. From head to toe, and from toe to head. Finally, the black stockings on the legs slowly extend upwards, all their way to the undulating mountains. Oh. The mountains were hidden by the fingers and could not be seen. What a pity. But this looming appearance seems to have a unique flavor. Do you want to take a closer look? This impudent look made Liu Yu feel uncomfortable all over and a little scared. Although there was no direct contact with the other party, she always felt that there were a pair of big hands constantly wandering outside. This little bastard, isn't he going to do anything to me? Her heart tightened at the thought, and she looked at Luffy warily. Liu Yu has already made plans. If that were the case, she would definitely fight to the death. Once this bottom line is crossed, it will be hard to say what will happen in the future. After the first time, there will definitely be a second and third time. If that happens, I will definitely be stuck in this quagmire and unable to extricate myself. Looking at Liu Yu's expression, Luffy probably guessed what the other person was thinking. He did not deny that these thoughts were involved. But he is not stupid, he knows that you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Besides, we now live in a society ruled by law, and if you are not careful you could end up in jail. After thinking for a moment, he made a decision immediately. The road must be taken step by step, and people can also slowly break through the bottom line. Let us get off to a good start first. So he cleared his throat and looked at Liu Yu with a smile on his face. Manager, what are you doing? I'm not a bad person. Is there any need for you to do this? Liu Yu shook his head to indicate that it was necessary. She has been pouting so much that she knows exactly what these men are thinking. 1 or 2 of them are very lustful. They all have bad intentions and want to take advantage of others. Seeing this, Luffy knew that kind words were useless and he could only use his trump card. Alas! If President Shu knew there was such a big bora in the company, he would be very angry and might even call the police immediately. Then I won't be able to see a boss as beautiful as my manager again. It's a pity to think about it. Liu Yu was annoyed and stared at Luffy. I'm telling you in advance, if you want to use this thing to make me surrender, it's impossible. At worst, we can just go our separate ways and die together. Liu Yu is going crazy. She had never thought that this would happen, that she would be threatened by the subordinate whom she had always looked down upon. If she had known this was a possibility, she would never spend money in advance like she did before. To the extent that some time ago, the company had to embezzle funds to fill this big hole. She has made up her mind. If I could pay back this money someday, I would definitely kill Luffy. Luffy looked at Liu Yu with disdain after hearing this. I'm not saying anything bad about you, manager, but what are you thinking about all day long? Did I ever say I was going to do something to you? Liu Yu recalled and shook his head truthfully. But he immediately retorted, although you didn't say it, your eyes clearly meant that. Don't think I don't know what dirty thoughts you stinky men have. Especially when facing a hot and beautiful girl like me, once I get hold of her, I will definitely be unable to resist and press her to the ground. As he was talking, Liu Yu realized something was wrong and quickly covered his mouth with his hands. Damn it, how could I have given him advice? Luffy couldn't help laughing. Manager, you said that yourself. How about, I can verify it for you. Luffy's eyes started to become restless and kept looking towards the gaps. Unfortunately, after trying for a long time, I unexpectedly discovered that Liu Yu was wrapped quite tightly. If she hadn't unbuttoned the top buttons herself, she wouldn't have gotten any benefit at all. Depend on. After all this time, it turns out that it's all just my own imagination. In the past, when he secretly looked at each other, he always felt that Liu Yu was intent on seducing people. Now that I think about it, it was all just my imagination. She's dressed very normally. It's just that her figure is so good that some tunnels can't hold it. Well, it seems that I really had the mentality of a poor loser before. Whatever, a loser is a loser. Just make yourself happy. Liu Yu's face was filled with shame and anger. Asshole. Are you trying to humiliate me on purpose? Luffy was secretly happy. I told you not to deduct my salary from me before. Now you know you regret it. Hee, what will make you even more uncomfortable is still to come. After thinking about it, he decided to first make a small request to lay the groundwork. Alas, my shoulders are a little sore from working overtime recently. If someone could massage them for me, maybe I would remember why I forgot about embezzling public funds. Liu Yu's eyes lit up. Really? Now she just wants to get rid of Luffy, the warm god, as soon as possible. Luffy turned his back and said, "Why don't you try and know?" Liu Yu hesitated for a moment, but finally came behind Luffy, stretched out her hands and began to massage his shoulders. Compared to Luffy attacking her, she felt that it was more acceptable for her to massage his shoulders. Strictly speaking, this doesn't count as the other party touching her. Well, that's it. Luffy couldn't help but smile when he saw his evil plan succeed. Hee, this will be a shoulder pinch. I can't tell what will happen in the future. I have perspective, maybe one day this pinching place will move down. Of course, he wouldn't let Liu Yu get away with it so comfortably. Naturally, I would make some requests that are not too excessive, for example. Oh, yes, be gentler with your left hand, and use a little more force on the right. Then use a little more force on your right hand, and apply a little more force towards your neck. Oh, it feels so good. Anyway, he just kept giving orders to Liu Yu, asking her not to stop for a moment. This made Liu Yu feel very uncomfortable. When did she fall to this point? Just like the technicians in the foot massage shop, they just listened to orders. Thinking of this, Liu Yu looked at the head in front of him that was shaking from time to time and felt more and more angry. She bit her lips and threatened, "Luffy, you'd better stop, or I'll quit." Feeling the resentment suddenly rising behind him, Luffy knew that today was almost the end. After thinking for a while, he turned around and said solemnly, "Manager, actually my request is very simple, just increase my salary by 1,000 yuan from this month. Liang always brags about how much higher his salary is than mine. I want to put him down a bit." Liu Yu was stunned when he heard this. Is it that simple? She always thought that the other party would make excessive demands. For example, you can spend money to ward off evil, or become his girlfriend for a day. I never thought that all he needed was a pay raise. This is very easy to do. The wages of the employees below can originally fluctuate on a small scale. Moreover, she had been suppressing the department's salary increase in order to perform well for her superiors. After all this, Liu Yu didn't suffer any loss at all. Thinking of this smile covering her face again, Luffy seemed much more pleasing to the eye. But the next second Luffy spoke again. Chapter 5, Is this request not too much? Manager, I actually have a small request that I hope you can satisfy. Liu Yu was very happy at the moment and agreed without hesitation, "Go ahead, as long as it's not too much." Luffy was delighted and said with some embarrassment, "You know I have never had a girlfriend, can you let me experience it for a while?" Liu Yu was startled, and his eyes instantly became alert. "What do you want to experience?" "I'm telling you, let's not talk about anything involving physiology." Luffy pretended to be shy. "It's not a big deal, I just wanted to try what it feels like to be kissed by my girlfriend. You can't even satisfy this little request of mine." Liu Yu was in a dilemma. To be honest, she is not a virgin, so she is not that shy about this matter. But it always feels weird to ask her to kiss Luffy. Luffy obviously noticed her dilemma, and with a roll of his eyes, he gave in again. "If it doesn't work, I'll close my eyes, is that okay with you?" Liu Yu hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded and agreed. As long as they didn't make eye contact, she felt she could still accept it. Besides, you are the one who takes the initiative. It's up to her to decide where to kiss or not. As long as it's not a kiss, it doesn't count as kissing Luffy. Soon, she comforted herself in this way. Seeing Liu Yu agreed, Luffy was secretly delighted. Isn't the bottom line slowly being broken? As for the embezzlement of public funds, he will eat until he is satisfied. Liu Yu felt annoyed when he saw the expression on his face and could only urge him. Close your eyes quickly, do you still want it? Luffy chuckled, smiled, closed his eyes and faced Liu Yu. Looking at this disgusting face, Liu Yu took a deep breath and barely suppressed the urge to hit someone. Then he closed his eyes and lowered his head as if accepting his fate. Then there was a touch like a dragonfly touching the water, which made Luffy a little confused. Is that it? No, he is not mentally prepared yet. Must do it again. Liu Yu obviously saw through his thoughts and immediately said, "Asshole. Don't go back on your word again." Luffy looked innocent. "No, manager, you've been there before. It's fine if couples don't kiss, but it's not like just a kiss on the cheek is enough. What's the difference between this and being a hooligan?" Liu Yu was furious. What do you want? Luffy said truthfully, 3 seconds, you have to stay for at least 3 seconds for it to count. Liu Yu was so angry that he said, "Then what are you waiting for? Close your eyes." Luffy was stunned, then closed his eyes again. This time Liu Yu really wanted to hit someone. She was sure that the bastard did it on purpose. It was to retaliate for the trouble he had caused him in the past. After wasting several seconds and constantly comforting himself that it was a reward for his behavior, Liu Yu finally calmed down. He took another deep breath and lowered his head. 3 seconds, right? She endured it. Little did people know that Luffy opened his eyes the first moment the two sides came into contact. Looking at Liu Yu's snow-white skin and slightly trembling eyelashes in front of him, Luffy felt very comfortable. "You little bastard, I've always been the one to cause trouble for you, and now you're being manipulated by me." But I have to say, Liu Yu's quietness is quite pleasing. No wonder she has so many suitors. There is also a faint scent of perfume on her body, which is quite pleasant to smell. It seems to have some other effects. Now Xiaolu was eager to try it. Stay calm, it's not time to unsheathe your sword yet." As he looked at it, Luffy's eyes glanced downwards without him noticing. Then a huge rift valley across Africa completely shocked him. Damn it. Is this what it feels like when you look at this thing up close? It's simply inhuman. It makes people want to jump in immediately. Etc. Why does it move by itself? Why are you getting further and further away from me? Just as Luffy was about to find out what was going on, he was frightened by Liu Yu's murderous look. Oh my god. I almost forgot about this. 3 seconds have passed. So Luffy ran out without waiting for the other party to speak. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, this woman would really turn hostile. Looking at Luffy's back, Liu Yu felt so angry that his teeth were itching. Men are really bad, they always tell lies. You agreed not to open your eyes, but just now I almost dug my eyeballs out and put them back in. He's just a hooligan. As he kept cursing, Liu Yu felt something was wrong. She always felt that she had forgotten something very important. Oh my god, when did you come back? Li Yan was startled when he saw Luffy suddenly returning to his workstation. How come someone who was clearly not there just now suddenly appeared? Luffy glanced in the direction of the office and said with a smile, "Lao Li, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but if you secretly play with your phone during work hours, be careful that your manager will catch you and deduct your salary." Li Yan winked at him. "Hey, aren't we going to have dinner with Zhu Wei tonight? I have to plan my trip in advance." As soon as he finished speaking, he asked curiously, "Hey, why did Liu Yu call you in for so long? Are you here to take revenge in the office again?" There were only a dozen people in their department, and none of them escaped Liu Yu's clutches. Basically, she called all of them to her office and scolded them. The guy who was scolded the most in the past was a guy named Song Qian. Almost every day without interruption. That guy seemed to have a masochistic physique. He laughed happily and heartlessly even after being scolded. Let everyone suspect that he has a special fetish. By chance, Liu Yu also heard about this and deliberately did not scold that guy for a week. As a result, Song Qian became a little depressed during that period. Finally, he resigned on his own initiative. It's simply bizarre. Luffy naturally wouldn't tell the other party what had just happened. I could only learn to complain about Liu Yu indignantly as before. What else could it be? I just looked at her a few more times, and she closed the door and pointed at my nose and yelled at me for more than 20 minutes. Tell me if there is still justice in the world. Li Yang expressed his deep sympathy. Alas, you have suffered a lot, Luffy. When I become a manager in the future, I will definitely compensate you. Luffy was a little confused. What do you mean? Li Yang raised his eyebrows. Without your sacrifice for more than 20 minutes, how could I plan my first date with Jiwei with peace of mind? Luffy cut it and said with disdain, you are the only one who can be the manager. I think it would be more reliable for me to be the manager. Li Yang's eyes widened, and he looked at him in disbelief. Laolu, don't tell me that you really like Liu Yu. Luffy's eyebrows widened. What's the matter? A man should face the challenge and challenge himself. Do you dare to say that you have never thought about her? Li Yang shuddered all over. No, I promise I didn't hear that. Luffy was a little curious. Why? With the manager's looks and figure, he's the dream girl in most people's eyes. Li Yang was a little embarrassed. Personally, I prefer something smaller, preferably with a flat chest. Luffy was shocked. I was wondering why you fell in love with Song Jiwei, so this is it. Li Yang looked at him with a scornful look, which was considered as his agreement. Just as he was about to continue speaking, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Laolu, can you explain what's going on with the lipstick mark on your face? Chapter 6, but you have to be responsible for me. What lipstick marks? I don't know what you're talking about. Luffy looked confused. Why did he have that thing on his face? Seeing that he was still pretending, Li Yang turned on the camera of his mobile phone and pointed it at Luffy's face so that he could see it for himself. Holy crap! It's true. Luffy was shocked when he saw the deep red lip marks in the camera. But he immediately realized that this must have been left by Liu Yu just now. No. He must not let Li Yang link this matter to Liu Yu, otherwise this big mouth would make it known to everyone. So he immediately started to make up nonsense. Do you believe me if I say I drew it accidentally? Li Yang showed disdain on his face. That look seemed to be saying, do you think I'm a fool? Luffy knew that this would not work, so he thought about it and decided to just go all out and destroy the evidence. After vigorously wiping off the lipstick marks on her cheek, she immediately started to act dumb. What lipstick marks? Why didn't I see them? Old Li, are you dazzled? Li Yang's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief as if he had met him for the first time. No, brother. I treat you as a good colleague, but you are trying to play tricks on me. I'm not blind. I really think I can make mistakes with such an obvious lipstick mark. Also, there's a big red spot on your face right now, please don't make it too obvious. Just when Li Yang was about to complain, he found that Luffy was winking at him frantically. He thought the other party was going to play dumb again, so he didn't pay any attention to it. He continued to speak to himself. Luffy, tell me the truth about what you did with the manager in the office just now. Otherwise, don't blame me for making up rumors. Seeing that Li Yang couldn't understand his expression, Luffy could only give him a helpless look. Then he turned around and pretended to click the mouse and move the computer keyboard. Li Yang's expression froze upon seeing this, and he looked behind him with a look of despair. He saw that Liu Yu had been standing there at some point and was looking at him dangerously. Judging from his expression, it is obvious that he heard what I just said. Li Yang, who was about to cry but had no tears, could only smile bitterly and explain to Liu Yu, Manager, do you believe me when I said I was joking with Luffy just now? Liu Yu's murderous intent intensified when he heard this. Oh, you still have time to joke with others. Why don't you come to my office and talk to me while you're free now? Li Yang still wanted to struggle, and frantically explained, I'm not idle, I'm busy catching up with the progress. Manager, how about we talk about this next time? There was no way Liu Yu would let him go. She had just gotten so angry at Luffy that she had no place to vent her anger. Then he glared at Li Yang fiercely, the meaning was self-evident. Either I'll scold you here, or you'll have to go to my office and scold me there. Choose your own. Li Yang knew that struggling was futile, so he could only walk towards the office dejectedly. He just hoped that Liu Yu would curse more quietly so that Song Jiwei, who was not far away, would not hear it. Otherwise he would be very embarrassed. Seeing this, Luffy on the side almost laughed out loud. After he estimated that the two were almost far away, he turned around curiously and prepared to listen in the corner. But suddenly he realized that Liu Yu had not left yet and was looking at him with complicated eyes. What's going on? Does this woman want to teach me a lesson too? I don't think she would dare. Just as he expected, although Liu Yu really wanted to vent his anger on Luffy at this time, he had to keep it in his heart because of the embezzlement of public funds. After a long standoff, helpless, Liu Yu could only stomp the floor hard with her high heels to vent her hatred. Afterwards, she twisted her waist and walked back to the office in her high heels. As soon as the door was half closed, a merciless scolding towards Li Yan came from inside. Judging from the situation, he might be in great danger today. Luffy said he could do nothing to help. Even though he was chatting enthusiastically with the other party just now, there are limitations to this situation. If you meet him outside the company, he would be just an ordinary colleague at most. Maybe it can't even be considered meeting ordinary friends. This kind of relationship is common in their company. Work is work, life is life, and everyone can make a clear distinction between the two. While both of them were busy, Luffy picked up his phone and quietly slipped into the bathroom to fish. It's not that it's not possible outside. It's really too conspicuous to watch videos with headphones on, and it would have a bad impact if other departments found out. It's not because the girls in the video are wearing too cool clothes. 1 hour later, Luffy was humming a tune as he rushed out of the toilet contentedly, but was suddenly frightened by a figure standing at the door. Looking closely, it turned out to be Liu Yu. What is she doing here? Subconsciously, he wanted to apologize with a smile and lower his head, but halfway through, he suddenly felt something was wrong. That's not right. Now that I have the leverage over her, why should I be so cautious? So he straightened his back and looked at the other person complainingly. Manager, do you know that scaring others can kill them? Don't do this next time, or my heart will be in trouble. Liu Yu was speechless for a moment. She found that Luffy was getting more and more outrageous, and now he even dared to slack off in front of her with a clear conscience. I wanted to get angry, but because the other party had the upper hand, I could only suppress my anger and remind him with gritted teeth. Can you please stop slacking off so blatantly? Someone will find out and report you. Luffy didn't care at all and said confidently, what are you afraid of? I have you as my backer. I can definitely walk sideways in our department. If there's any bastard who's so blind as to report me, you'll definitely make him pay for it. Liu Yu laughed in anger. When did I become your backer? How come I don't know about this? Luffy looked like he had seen a ghost. No, manager, you kissed me, so you don't plan to take some responsibility. Let me tell you, being a scumbag will make you despised. Liu Yu was so angry at his shameless behavior that his chest felt stuffy and he almost made a sound through his teeth. Luffy, can you please stop being so shameless? I didn't do that voluntarily at all. Luffy continued to do as he pleased. It seems the manager is unwilling to take responsibility. That's all I can do. If someone reports me, I'll have no choice but to betray the manager's little secret to protect myself. Alas, I really can't bear to let go. Liu Yu was going crazy. She felt that if she continued talking to this guy, she might faint from anger on the spot. In desperation, I could only turn a blind eye. He waved his hand to signal Luffy to get out of here. Luffy didn't waste any time. He smiled at Liu Yu in a sly way, then continued humming a tune as he walked out. But halfway through, he was suddenly stopped by Liu Yu. He thought the other party was going to change his mind, so he said with a smirk, Manager, have you figured out that you want to be responsible for me? I'm telling you, I'm not that kind of casual person, unless you kiss me again. Chapter 7, Manager, your lipstick tastes good. At this moment, Liu Yu felt his head buzzing. It looks like it's about to explode. Why didn't she realize before that Luffy could be so shameless? Just like a rogue. If possible, Liu Yu would like to fire the other party immediately and destroy him humanely. But now she could only keep reminding herself over and over again in the center. Take a deep breath and calm down. Liu Yu, you have to control yourself. Your body is your own. It would be a waste if you get hurt by anger. You still have a lot of youth to spend, shop and enjoy life. After several seconds. Finally, she prepared herself mentally and looked at Luffy again. If you want to slack off in the future, it's up to you. But can you please wipe the lipstick marks off your face now, or someone will find out about it again. Luffy realized it belatedly. Is there anything else? Didn't I just wipe it off? Liu Yu was too lazy to explain and pointed to the mirror behind him and asked him to look at himself. There was still an unusually conspicuous red mark on Luffy's left cheek. Anyone with a discerning eye can easily recognize it as a lipstick mark. Luffy started to mutter when he saw this, "It seems that the manager loves me deeply." He just wiped it with his hands so hard but it didn't come clean. Liu Yu has already started to act badly. If you don't know how to speak, you don't have to say anything. What do you mean by how deeply I love you? Obviously, the lipstick I bought is of better quality. This is from Chanel, it costs more than $1,000. Luffy was shocked. What the hell, that few centimeters of broken stuff is almost worth half a month's salary for me. Liu Yu felt that he had pulled one back, and said with a smile, "That's not right, so I said you stinky men are overestimating your abilities. You spent your monthly salary on 2 lipsticks for me, and you still want to pursue me. It's just wishful thinking." Luffy was on the defensive and refused to listen. Oh, a lipstick costs so much. No wonder they say women's money is easy to make. If you ask me, this thing is only worth a few dozen bucks at most. Liu Yu raised his neck like a proud black swan. This is called enjoying life, don't you understand? Only people with taste know its value. Forget it. It's just a waste of life to talk to a stinky man like you who doesn't understand anything. As soon as he finished speaking, Liu Yu noticed that something was wrong with Luffy again and hurriedly stopped him. Hey, what are you doing? I asked you to wipe off the lipstick marks, why did you eat them instead? Luffy chuckled, I just want to try out what this expensive thing tastes like. Liu Yu was amused by her and laughed secretly, so what do you think it tastes like? Luffy sipped the drink for a while, then looked thoughtful. No, why does it smell like jasmine? Could it be that this thing is made of flowers? Liu Yu became even happier when he saw Luffy being humiliated. When she was in a better mood, she actually started to popularize science. You men are ignorant, but the lipstick I use is Chanel. It not only has jasmine flavor, but also chocolate flavor. Luffy was completely shocked and looked at Liu Yu with suspicion. You are not lying to me, how can lipstick have chocolate flavor? Seeing that he didn't believe her, Liu Yu took out a lipstick from her pocket, twisted it and put it in front of Luffy. Here, don't say I lied to you, this one is chocolate flavored. When talking about cosmetics, women's emotions become particularly stable. Even now, Liu Yu's eyes looking at Luffy were much gentler. But the next second, she was stunned. I almost screamed on the spot. Luffy is such a badass, he just smelled it and bit it. Now Liu Yu was completely numb. It's over, it's all over. I usually don't want to use it more. This guy is great, he can create as much as he wants. This one bite cost at least 400 yuan. At this moment, Liu Yu was so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. Luffy was completely clueless, or perhaps he did it on purpose. After chewing a few mouthfuls, Gulu said with some disdain, it tastes like chocolate, but it tastes weird. Isn't it poisonous? Liu Yu made up for it in time. It would be best if you were poisoned to death, so that you don't harm others. Luffy was unhappy and immediately retorted, look at what you said, have I ever harmed anyone else besides you? Liu Yu's chest shook violently and he was so angry that he could hardly speak. After holding it in for a long time, I finally said the word, you. Luffy continued to make a filthy comment, manager, you said you usually use this lipstick to put on makeup, and I just swallowed it. If this is really counted, does it count as an indirect kiss? TSK, it's pretty exciting just thinking about it. This is my first kiss. Hearing this, Liu Yu held his forehead and felt dizzy, as if he could no longer stand. How could there be such a shameless person in the world? I actually ran into him myself. It's amazing. Luffy didn't care about that. He showed his gentlemanly manners and immediately ran over to support Liu Yu. He was still very concerned, manager, are you okay? It's okay if you really feel uncomfortable, just lean on me, I can handle it. Having said that, Luffy's big hands were not so calm. He held Liu Yu's shoulders and hugged her waist. It's clear that he is taking advantage of the opportunity. Liu Yu was so exhausted that he could only let him do whatever he wanted. After recovering, he immediately broke free, full of anger, asshole. Get out of my sight right now, or don't force me to do anything. Luffy looked innocent, I want to, manager, but the lipstick marks on my face can't be wiped clean with water. How about you try something? Liu Yu just wanted to be free, so she reluctantly took out the makeup remover from her pocket. Then he took out a tissue, wet it, and wiped Luffy's face vigorously. After a short while, no trace of lipstick marks could be seen, and the whole half of the face felt a lot more refreshed. Liu Yu immediately said, okay, you can go now. Luffy was still shameless and threw a wink at the other person before quickly slipping away. Seeing his leaving back, Liu Yu felt mixed emotions. How long has it been? No man dares to do this to himself. I always feel like I'm back to the first time someone was pursuing me. The other side. After torturing Liu Yu again, Luffy felt distracted. It was the first time that he experienced the feeling of being able to act so recklessly in front of a woman. Just one word, refreshing. Especially this woman is Liu Yu, the manager who used to dislike him. This made him even more excited. If he remembered correctly. But I hugged that slender waist. The most important thing is that Liu Yu didn't seem as disgusted with him as he was the first time. Even the body language is not as big as it was at the beginning. Yo, this is a very good sign. The process of pressing it to the ground and rubbing it has taken another big step forward. Just when Luffy returned to his workstation with a happy face, Li Yang looked at him with resentment. That expression seems to say, brother, I am almost dying. This is all your fault. Chapter 8. Are you having an affair? What's wrong, Lao Li? Why are you acting like a nagging woman? Seeing Li Yang like this, Luffy asked casually. Li Yang still didn't say anything and continued to look at him with resentment on his face. Luffy couldn't stand it anymore and moved his chair to the side. He used his own method to fight back. I'm warning you, I'm a man, my sexual orientation is normal, don't even think about doing anything to me. Li Yang couldn't hold it back any longer and went straight to the point. Luffy, tell me the truth, did you do anything to that witch Liu Yu? Luffy quickly denied it. Hey, Lao Li, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. What do you mean I did something to the manager? Do you think I have the guts to do that? Li Yang grabbed his hand and said angrily, it's definitely related to you. Otherwise she wouldn't have pointed at me and yelled at me in the office for so long. The most important thing is that the reason is so ridiculous. Luffy was curious, what's the reason? Li Yang looked aggrieved. She said I left early the day before yesterday because I didn't work overtime. Don't you think this reason is nonsense? Luffy immediately retorted, the company is my home, and the struggle depends on everyone. Leaving early is not an option. Comrade Lao Li, your ideological awareness is not enough. Li Yang argued, but I worked overtime until 10 p.m. the day before yesterday. Luffy was stunned for a moment. Wait, you mean to say that I was the one who left early that day? Li Yang said aggrievedly, yes, it's you. Before you left that day, you excitedly told me that you were going to watch the blind date event at the mall downstairs. Luffy was a little embarrassed. No way. How could someone who works so hard like me leave early? You must have remembered it wrong, Lao Li. Li Yang remained silent and quietly took out the chat records of that day to show Luffy. As luck would have it, when they were watching the blind date show at 8 o'clock in the evening, Luffy actually took a photo and sent it to him. Now the evidence is solid. Would you like to explain who took this photo? Seeing the overwhelming evidence, Li Yang began to retaliate. Luffy laughed when he saw this. Hey, Lao Li, look at my memory, I almost forgot about this. But considering our relationship, you shouldn't care so much, right? Li Yang was about to open his mouth to refute when he was interrupted by the sudden sound of high heels coming from behind. He knew that the evil woman Liu Yu had started patrolling again. He could only look at Luffy angrily and let it go. He has already been scolded, and he doesn't want to have his salary deducted again. That would be a huge loss. So Li Yang immediately began to pretend to work seriously. But today it seemed that the goddess of luck was not on his side. As soon as he started, Liu Yu's voice sounded behind him. Li Yang, you will be deducted 20 yuan from your salary for playing games during working hours. Li Yang immediately started to complain, it's not the manager, it's just a pop-up game on the computer, it has nothing to do with me. Liu Yu smiled contemptuously and pointed at the small icon in the lower right corner. Then tell me, what's the matter with this fantasy westward journey icon? Don't tell me it's also a pop-up ad. Li Yang looked at Liu Yu with a wry smile, admitting defeat. Because he did have a fantasy westward journey account on it, and was joining a wild team to catch ghosts. At this moment, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a strange scene out of the corner of his eye. Luffy didn't even turn on the computer screen and was still pretending to work. It's simply unreasonable. Just when Li Yang thought that Liu Yu would definitely catch Luffy and give him a good scolding, she actually pretended not to see him and went somewhere else. Oh shit. What's going on? Is it dark under the lamp? Or is the difference in treatment so obvious? There is a problem. There is definitely a problem. Could this guy really attack the manager? Li Yang wanted to get to the bottom of it right away. But because Liu Yu was still patrolling the office area, he could only keep it in his mind for the time being and ask again when he had time. On the other hand, Luffy pretended to touch the fish for a long time before he realized that the computer screen was still black. After scratching his head awkwardly, he turned on the screen again and continued to slack off. Now that everyone has a backer who would still work honestly. Instead of spending time on this, it would be better to study X-ray vision. Li Yang, who was standing by, was filled with envy, jealousy and hatred when he saw this. No, why should he do that? The manager has seen it several times, why did he pretend not to see it? Is there really some unspeakable secret between her and Luffy? Not long after. Taking advantage of Liu Yu's absence, Li Yang finally had the opportunity to ask the questions that had been on his mind for a long time. Luffy, are you having an affair with the manager? Luffy pretended not to hear and started packing his things. Li Yang was stunned, not understanding what he was doing, and quickly asked, hey, why did you turn off the computer? It's not time to get off work yet. Luffy still didn't say anything, just pointed at the time on the wall. Well, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It happened to be the company's stipulated time to get off work. Now Li Yang was even more confused, because there was no precedent in their department of leaving get off work on time. If you look up, you will find that except Luffy, none of the dozen people sitting there show any signs of leaving get off work. The reason is simple. Anyone who dares to go out at this time will be blocked by Liu Yu at the door. Then came an overwhelming ideological education. In the end, in order to avoid having my performance deducted, I had no choice but to return to my workstation and waste time working overtime. It is called fighting for one's own future. Seeing Luffy's actions, Li Yang was really scared. After packing up, Luffy finally started talking. Lao Li, aren't you going on a date with Song Jiwei? Li Yang nodded. That's right, in order to get there earlier, he discussed with Song Jiwei how to escape later. But why did Luffy ask this? Was he going to be a third wheel? Shit, that would be barbecue. Luffy looked at Li Yang's disappointing look and shook his head in disdain. Why don't you leave earlier? Li Yang smiled helplessly. I want to, but the manager is still guarding the door. Jiwei and I have an appointment. We will go out together later when the manager is not around. Luffy was angry at his lack of fighting spirit, sighed deeply, and planned to show off his high-end skills. So he approached Li Yang with a mysterious look on his face. Old Li, do you want to know why the manager gave me special care? Li Yang nodded frantically like a chicken pecking at rice. Luffy directly said the excuse he had thought of before. Actually, it's very simple. Just confess to her. Li Yang was shocked. What the hell? What do you mean? Luffy nodded without hesitation. Yes, it's just what you think. I just expressed my feelings to her directly in the office, and the result was what you saw before. Although she rejected me and scolded me at the time, the effect afterwards was obvious. Basically, every time she saw me, she pretended not to see me. Just think about it, would you target someone who has confessed his love to you? Li Yang immediately shook his head. What's the point of targeting someone? It's good enough that we don't feel awkward when meeting each other. Luffy was pleased with his reaction and decided to show off his skills again. Look, it's the company's stipulated time to get off work. If I had left at this time before, I would have been scolded by the manager. But it's different now. Even if I walked past her, she might not even look at me. Old Li, do you believe it? After listening to this, Li Yang shook his head and nodded, obviously half believing and half doubting. Luffy was not vague. After taking the things, he walked towards Liu Yu who was standing at the door. Chapter 9. Tell your husband to get off work. Manager, good morning. As soon as he arrived at the door, Luffy greeted Liu Yu with a smile. Liu Yuchuan pretended not to see it. I just hope this plague god will leave soon, so as not to make me upset. Luffy doesn't have this awareness. Seeing that Liu Yu ignored him, he stopped and turned around to ask, Manager, are you feeling unwell? Why do you look so unhappy? Liu Yu turned his head away to show that he didn't want to pay attention to him. Doesn't this man have any idea? It's all his fault. She felt that if Luffy made her angry a few more times, her menstrual period would definitely be irregular. Of course Luffy could see that Liu Yu was unhappy. This is exactly the effect we want. I told you to go through so much trouble in the past, now you know how it feels. After thinking about it, he decided to torture the other party again, so he said threateningly, "Manager, you don't want me to keep hanging around in front of you, do you?" Liu Yu knew he couldn't escape, so he lowered his voice and pleaded, "What on earth do you want to do? We are at the door. If we make too much noise, people in the department will see us." In just a short while, Liu Yu had already noticed 3 or 4 curious eyes casting their gazes here. If she hadn't glared back at them all, there would probably be even more. Luffy, however, was not afraid of boiling water and continued to be thick-skinned. "Manager, as long as you tell your husband to leave work, I will leave immediately. Otherwise I might have gone back and forth a few more times." Liu Yu's breathing suddenly tightened when he heard this, and he felt a black screen in front of his eyes. How shameless a person must be to let others say such things so shamelessly. I've never seen anything like this before. Luffy, however, was oblivious and began to urge him, "Hurry up, I'm in a hurry to get off work." Liu Yu just wanted to be relieved and treated it as a mosquito bite. So she began to stammer, "Husband, please, get off work." After saying that, her whole face quickly turned red and she didn't dare to look at Luffy beside her. Now, she just wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into quickly. Oh my god. She actually said such words to a subordinate whom she had always looked down upon. If my best friends knew about this, I would probably be laughed at for the rest of my life. Luffy looked very pleased after hearing this, and felt as if he was floating in the air. After being single for more than 20 years, this was the first time a woman called him like that to his face. And this person is Liu Yu, the evil female boss known as Nun Mihu. It's really too exciting. After responding with satisfaction, he didn't stay any longer. I happily clocked out of get off work. This scene shocked Li Yang, who had been secretly watching from a distance. "No buddy, I was just kidding you, are you serious?" If he saw it correctly, that evil woman Liu Yu was actually made to blush by Luffy. No way, no way. Will this guy really capture Liu Yu, who is known as Nun Mihu, one day? This is a bit outrageous. This way. As soon as Luffy got off the elevator and reached the first floor, he received a message from Li Yang. "Li Yang, you are awesome, brother. I admire you." In response, Luffy simply smiled, keeping his achievements and fame to himself. With the blessing of X-ray vision, these are just appetizers. Once he walks out of this building, his wonderful life will officially begin. The house Luffy rented was in the west of the city, not far from where he worked, only 4 kilometers away. In the past, in order to exercise or save money, he always rode his own bicycle to work. But recently, for some reasons, he can only take the bus. It was the rush hour after get off work, and there were several office buildings nearby, so there were a lot of office workers coming and going on the road. In order to avoid the crowds on the bus, he decided to finish his meal first. This dining spot is not far from the office building, just a few minutes away. He arrived in a few moments. After walking around the food street, Luffy finally chose a shop he often visited. Longjiang Pork Trotter Rice. As soon as he entered the door, he was greeted warmly by the young proprietress. "Hey, Xiaodu is here, is it another pork trotter rice?" Luffy smiled gracefully, "Sister Wang, I'm in a good mood today, give me the most luxurious version of your store." "Okay, I'll be right there." As he was speaking, the proprietress whom Luffy called Sister Wang walked towards the kitchen with her hips twisted. Sister Wang, full name Wang Jie. The store not only has good quality products at low prices, but also has very enthusiastic service. Whenever guests come, she greets them with a smile. When he is not busy, he will even sit down and chat with guests. So in this area, her store is one of the most profitable stores in the neighborhood. However, the real reason why many male compatriots come here is actually related to Wang Jie herself. Although she is not very pretty, she has a good figure. They have a generous personality and a fashionable dressing style, so they often have the most benefits. Look, at this moment, she is wearing a white tight low-cut t-shirt and is busy in the kitchen. With every move, you can faintly see the mountains vibrate. As a pure boy who has been craving for love for more than 20 years, it is pure nonsense to say that Luffy has no thoughts about her. But Luffy is a man of principles. Before the other party divorces, I will never do anything that violates the law. But this does not prevent Comrade Luffy from secretly using his perspective eyes to closely observe the inner thoughts of the young woman at that time. He was very curious about what the other party was thinking behind giving out benefits every day. He opened his eyes and stared hard, and a line of blue text reappeared in his field of vision. Wang Jie, what should I do? The baby in my belly is not my husband's. Should I find someone to take over? After reading it for the first time, Luffy was stunned for 3 seconds. I was like, oh shit. In my heart. This seems like a lot of information. Not only is Wang Jie pregnant, but the child is not her husband's. The most important thing is that she herself doesn't seem to know who it belongs to, so she plans to find a sucker to take it over. This situation is simply outrageous. It is said that you can know a person's face but not his heart. But what Luffy never expected was that Wang Jie was so consistent. It seems open, but in fact it is already letting go of myself. When I think about this, Luffy's evil thoughts disappeared, and he just planned to finish eating as quickly as possible and leave. Wang Jie naturally didn't know this. After cooking the meal, she still brought it to Luffy with a smile on her face. When he saw that there was no one else in the store, he sat directly opposite Luffy, propped his head up, watched him eat and showed his concern enthusiastically. Xiaolu, why did you get off work so early today? Are you planning to go on a date with your girlfriend? Luffy didn't even raise his head and continued eating. No, sister. I've been single for more than 20 years. How can I have a girlfriend? Besides, if there was any, how could I come here to eat alone? Wang Jie smiled even more broadly upon seeing this, and reminded her softly like a caring older sister. You can't do this, Xiaolu. Boys can't be alone. You have to interact with girls more to have a chance. Luffy said nothing and continued to eat. Wang Jie didn't find it strange and continued speaking. By the way, Xiaolu, I don't have much business tonight anyway, how about we have a drink while you're free? Just think of it as chatting with me. Maybe I can teach you some tips on how to flirt with girls then. Luffy paused when he heard that, and looked up at the other person embarrassedly. Sister Wang, isn't it a bit inappropriate for us to drink together as a single man and a single woman? Chapter 10, What's the matter? Are you still worried about me? Wang Jie smiled and joked, I'm not afraid of your sister, so why should you be afraid? Just listen to me, and have a drink with me later. You don't have to pay for the meal, it's my treat. Luffy pretended to be confused, sis, it's better to be safe than sorry. It will be bad for your reputation if something happens. To be honest, if it weren't for the X-ray vision, Luffy would have agreed without hesitation. Apart from anything else, just the slightly drawn eyes and the mountain range that shook more than TikTok were enough to capture him. Which young boy can withstand such a test? Not to mention a newbie like Luffy. In the past, if any young woman who was good-looking wanted to hook up with him, she would have been successful. More obedient than the pouty mouth. Seeing Luffy was so persistent, Wang Jie directly used her trump card. The table slapped and shook, and said coquettishly, Good you Luffy, I'm not afraid of you, so what are you afraid of? What's wrong? Are you still worried that I'll eat you? He is indeed a person with rich experience. Wang Jie's every word and action was full of young lady's charm, which almost made Luffy unable to hold back. Fortunately, he still had some sanity left, and upon seeing this he immediately reminded himself. Stay calm, you have to stay calm, Luffy. Not only does she want to eat you, she also wants to flatter you. Comfort is only temporary, but regret is a lifelong thing. Maybe I will always have to bear the title of being a father in the future. Seeing that Luffy remained unmoved, Wang Jie finally took action. Xiaolu, I know that you white-collar workers are under a lot of pressure at work and sometimes you have a lot of concerns. But don't be afraid, I've been through this before and I know how to relieve this kind of pressure. If you don't believe me, I can give you a shoulder massage and head massage right now so you can experience it. Wang Jie stood up and walked behind Luffy, put her skillful hands on his shoulders and started pinching him without saying a word. It's true that not only is the strength moderate but the technique gentle and the points found are also very accurate. After a while, Luffy felt a lot lighter. Seeing this, Wang Jie lowered her head and began to seduce him in a gentle voice, How about it? I didn't lie to you, did I? Luffy knew clearly that this was a rhythm of luring the snake into their hole. After laughing for a while, he immediately took the opportunity to run away, sister. I just remembered that my roommate is still waiting for me to bring food back, how about we make an appointment next time? After hearing this, Wang Jie was stunned for a moment and looked at Luffy with some resentment. I'm about to get into the mood, and you're telling me there's a lot of time left. Depend on. Just teasing me. No, you have to accept this offer whether you want to or not. Wang Jie made up her mind and decided to do something big. She bit her red lips and was ready to use the powerful force to try to suppress Luffy. But unfortunately, at this moment, a very hesitant voice suddenly came from the door of the store. Is this place still open? Wang Jie suddenly turned around and saw a handsome boy who looked like a pretty boy looking out the door. Seems a little nervous. Seeing her looking at him, he immediately lowered his head in embarrassment. Hey, here comes a little sheep. This is what Wang Jie is thinking at the moment. Then in just a moment, she gave up the idea of attacking Luffy and immediately fell in love with someone else. His expression changed and he immediately greeted him warmly. Hey handsome guy, the store is still open. Just tell me what you want to eat, I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Luffy didn't say anything when he saw this. After eating a few bites of the meal, Gulu ran away without any intention of saving the other person. Judging from the situation just now, maybe the other person just came to your door on his own initiative. It takes two to fight. Forcing change will only lead to resentment. 7:30 p.m. Gauker Garden Community. As soon as Luffy opened the door, passionate shouts rang next to his ears. Seal it for me, Fan Kun. Huashen, just push the blood directly. Just hang up the Dragon Palace and release the tornado. He knew that his roommate was in a gang fight again. As expected. After walking a few steps, I saw a fat young man with a rather wealthy figure yelling at the computer in a bedroom on the side. On the screen, several cartoon-like characters are fighting each other. The fat guy is named Zhang Hao, and he is Luffy's roommate. He is a freelancer, and usually makes a living by playing game for others or playing Fantasy Westward Journey 10 times a day. He has a pretty good relationship with Luffy, and when he's free, he'll help him level up and complete missions for free. Of course Luffy will return the favor. Bringing some dinner back to each other from time to time is a mutual benefit. As soon as Zhang Hao saw Luffy, he immediately greeted him as if he was injected with chicken blood. Laolu, come here quickly, I want to show you something good. Luffy walked over with a smile. What good stuff is this? It's worth my brother Hao being so excited. Zhang Hao puffed out his round belly, adjusted his sitting position, and said with a proud look on his face. You may not believe this, but I used your account to refine monsters this afternoon and I actually got a demon boy with 15 skills. Isn't that amazing? Luffy was shocked when he heard this. Hiroko, you are not lying to me, this thing can't be said just by saying it. As one of the most valuable games currently, the value of items in Fantasy Westward Journey can be linked to RMB. Luffy wasn't quite sure about the exact value of this demonized boy with 15 skills, but it was at least several thousand. If this is true, it would be a huge profit. Seeing that he didn't believe it, Zhang Hao just clicked the mouse and the picture was displayed immediately. Good job. It's actually true. On the screen, a domineering demonized boy was roaring at him. Moving the line of sight down a few points, the skill bar is now fully populated with 12 grids. Needless to say, there will definitely be 3 more skills to come. Laolu, let's be frank. The item is sold on your account, and you will definitely get a share when it's sold. Luffy didn't refuse and immediately said, that's great, it'll be the same as before, you just spend all your money on my ship. Luffy's dream account is a garbage account of 175, and it took him many years to reach level 9. This was when Zhang Hao was helping him with his training. Before that it was even worse, and he didn't even do much training. It was the first time that Zhang Hao saw him so generous, so he confirmed it again. Laolu, are you sure you want to do this? The money must be at least 2,000 or 3,000, which is almost equal to your monthly salary. Luffy waved his hand to indicate that it was okay. Now that he has the ability to see through things, why would he be interested in such a small amount of money? If you want to make money, there are many ways. He has already made up his mind to go to the gambling stone market tomorrow to see if he can find any bargains. Seeing him like this, Zhang Hao didn't say much. After spending so much time together, the two sides naturally knew each other's personalities, so the topic turned to Luffy. That's not right, Laolu. Why are you back so early today? Could something have happened? Chapter 11, Boss, give me a stack of scratch tickets. Luffy didn't answer directly, but picked up the thing in his hand and showed it to Zhang Hao. What else could it be? Don't you remember to bring food to my good roommate? Chicken with mushrooms and scrambled eggs with tomatoes are all flavors you love. Zhang Hao's appetite was immediately aroused, and he immediately took it and started to devour it. While eating, he expressed his gratitude to Luffy. "You are really kind enough to bring me food." Unlike Wang Jiao, who was nowhere to be seen all day, Luffy tried to smooth things over. Actually, Wang Jiao can't be blamed for this. He was busy dating his girlfriend. Zhang Hao continued to complain. "To put it nicely, it's called falling in love, but to put it bluntly, it's called forgetting friends for the sake of beauty." "You don't know, that guy has a new girlfriend." Luffy thought he had heard wrongly. "What?" He changed again. "Can this be confirmed?" Liang didn't say anything. He took out his mobile phone, opened his moments and motioned Luffy to look at it himself. "I saw a cool guy named Dashueguo posted a very literary message. For the rest of my life, it's all about you, dear Jane." "Well, now you believe it." Luffy sighed helplessly, which was considered as his agreement. This is the consistent style of his roommate named Wang Jiao. He posts a message on WeChat moments every time he falls in love. If Luffy remembered correctly, this was his third time this month. This is such a boundless love. Zhang Hao was even more dissatisfied. He complained while eating, "What on earth is going on? We three brothers are really dying of drought and flood. It's totally unfair." Luffy analyzed the situation truthfully. "I think it's possible that we're not scumbags enough, so we're still single." Zhang Hao agreed. "Yes. That's the truth. It's their women's loss that they can't find such great men like us who don't smoke or drink." Luffy felt the need to add, "Actually, I think there is another factor that affects our being single." Zhang Hao was confused. "What's the reason?" Luffy told the truth. "We are little poor." Zhang Hao fell silent. "Laolu, let's change the subject. This is a bit hurtful to talk about." Luffy couldn't help laughing and changed the subject in time. "Hiroshi, did you go downstairs to buy something during the day? I just saw a big bag of newly bought toilet paper in the living room." Because he often does leveling at home and plays Fantasy Westward Journey 10 times, Zhang Hao often needs to sit in front of the computer. So generally, I order takeout or ask him to buy something for me, and I rarely go out. Zhang Hao touched his nose, a little embarrassed. "I just wanted to reward myself but found that I didn't have enough tissues, so you know." Luffy's mouth twitched when he heard that. He glanced at the trash can filled with white tissues and felt speechless. Sure enough, apart from hobbies, the only thing that can make a man diligent is this trivial matter. In order to ease the embarrassment, Zhang Hao picked up a stack of cards on the table and showed them. "Old Lu, you know what, this trip was quite rewarding. It just so happens that there is a newly opened lottery shop downstairs. I think I'm lucky today, so I bought a few scratch tickets. Guess what I did?" Luffy became interested. "What happened?" Zhang Hao stretched out his 5 fat fingers and said with a grin, "Hey, another $500. Luffy was shocked. "No way, are the chances of winning so high?" Zhang Hao immediately shook his head. "This is purely based on luck. A friend of mine won nearly $1,000, but ended up losing everything, including his underwear." Luffy didn't believe it. "No way, there has to be some gain." Zhang Hao almost couldn't hold back his laughter. 1,000 for 50, what do you think of this deal?" Luffy slapped his forehead. Only a fool would do that. Although he said this, Luffy was actually a little restless in his heart. He has X-ray vision now, so who knows what the outcome will be. How about trying it now? The more he thought about it, the more eager he became to try it out, so he immediately asked Zhang Hao, "Howsy, what time does the lottery shop downstairs close?" Zhang Hao thought for a moment and answered truthfully, "About 10 o'clock. There aren't many people on the street after this time." Luffy's eyes lit up when he heard that. "That's great, I'll go try my luck right now." Seeing how excited he was, Zhang Hao felt it necessary to remind him, "It's not the old way. This thing is almost like gambling. Don't get too excited." Luffy nodded quickly. "Of course, I saw that my game account was lucky today, so I wanted to try my luck. Don't worry, it's enough." Zhang Hao then felt relieved and waved his hand to signal Luffy to hurry up and not miss the chance. Seeing this, Luffy smiled and went downstairs without looking back. Gauker Garden Community is an elevator community with more than a dozen buildings in total. Fortunately, there are not many shops on the ground floor, only 2 at the east gate and the south gate. So it didn't take Luffy a few minutes to arrive at the lottery shop. The shop owner is a middle-aged man in his 40s, with a pointed face and monkey cheeks, and he looks like a shrewd man. Especially with the two little mustaches at the corners of his mouth, this feeling becomes even stronger. Thinking of this, Luffy used his X-ray vision without hesitation. Li Jingming, this method of buying bones with a huge sum of money is really useful. Here comes another sucker. Sucker? What does this mean? Is there something fishy about these scratch tickets? With doubts, Luffy walked into the lottery shop. Hey, is this handsome guy here to buy lottery tickets or scratch cards? As soon as Luffy entered the store, the owner Li Jingming greeted him warmly. He has worked in the lottery industry for nearly 20 years and has already developed a pair of sharp eyes. So you can tell at a glance that the person in front of you is definitely an important customer. Luffy didn't waste any words and immediately stated his purpose. I want to buy some scratch tickets to play with. Boss, can you introduce some to me? Because Luffy knew Li Jingming's attitude towards him in advance, he didn't give him a good look. Li Jingming is also a veteran. Although he didn't understand why the guest was so hostile to him, he still introduced himself enthusiastically. The world is big, but making money is the most important thing. He never had a problem with money. After some understanding, Luffy also understood the different types of scratch cards. It is roughly divided into 3 levels, 5 yuan, 10 yuan, and 20 yuan. The higher the price, the greater the maximum amount capped. The highest prize is even 1 million. After understanding the basic situation, Luffy immediately used his X-ray eyes to observe the counter. Unexpectedly, as soon as I used it, I felt extremely dizzy and almost fainted. Li Jingming was so scared that he trembled all over and hurried over to support him. Hey, handsome guy, please don't scare me. It's just a scratch-off lottery ticket. It shouldn't be that stressful, right? Luffy waved his hands to indicate that there was no need for help, he would be fine after a while. He was not surprised by what happened just now. The reason is simple. In fact, every time he uses his X-ray vision, it consumes some of his physical strength. Just now, in order to save trouble, he looked through all the scratch cards on the counter at once, which is why he looked so miserable. But it was all worth it. Because he found a big prize. Chapter 12, the grand prize was hacked. After knowing there was a big prize, Luffy said without hesitation, "Boss, I want all the 20 notes." Li Jingming was stunned, thinking he had heard wrongly. "Handsome, are you sure you want to buy all those $20 bills? Let me tell you, these don't come cheap." Luffy didn't hesitate. "Yes, the stack of 20, give it all to me." Seeing that he was so determined, Li Jingming stopped asking questions. He took out the stack of $20 scratch tickets, looked at them quickly, and then immediately handed them to Luffy. There are 88 tickets in total, and the total price is 1,760 yuan. Since you bought so many, I'll give you less. Well, I'll charge you 1,750 yuan. Is that okay with you? Luffy's mouth twitched and he was a little speechless. "Boss, you are too generous, just $10 less." He had seen stingy people, but he had never seen one as stingy as this. "I spent nearly $2,000, but they wouldn't even give me a zero." As expected, his name is Li Jingming, he is really smart. Li Jingming twisted his mustache and said with a smile, "Handsome guy, I'm a small business with small profits but quick turnover, so I dare not give discounts randomly. Besides, you are about to win the lottery, why do you care about such trivial matters?" Wow, you're quite good at talking. After hearing this, Luffy felt much better and found the boss with a pointed face and monkey cheeks in front of him much more pleasing to the eye. Even though he already knew there must be a big prize inside, he still felt very happy. People are like this, they prefer to be praised and talked about. Even so, Luffy deliberately joked, "Boss, how do you know that I will definitely win the prize? Is there something fishy going on here?" Li Jingming quickly clarified, alas, I dare not say nonsense. Actually, we just want to have good luck, and we don't know if it will work or not. But based on my past experience, every time I get a stack of scratch cards, there will always be 1 or 2 with big prizes." Luffy thought of what he had seen with his X-ray vision and tried to test it. Could this be the legendary priceless bone? Use a big prize to whet other people's appetite. Li Jingming didn't dare to speak after hearing this. He always felt that the young man in front of him was not simple, as if he could see through him. Seeing this, Luffy didn't ask any further questions and just smiled. Then he weighed the scratch ticket in his hand, a little suspicious. "Boss, are you sure there are 88 tickets here? Are you kidding me?" Li Jingming quickly confirmed, I guarantee that there will be one less, and if there is one less, I will compensate you 3 times. He has been in this business for so long, he has some good eyesight. Seeing his confident look, Luffy didn't say much. He picked up the razor on the table and prepared to start shaving. But halfway through the journey, he suddenly remembered something and took out his cell phone to pay first. Boss, I paid every penny of the 1,750 yuan, and the ownership of this scratch ticket is mine. Li Jingming quickly apologized with a smile, what are you talking about, handsome guy? It doesn't matter whether you pay first or later. Luffy scoffed at this. You say this now, but it may not be the case when the grand prize is scratched out by him later. People are tempted by interests, but they are fickle. I still remember that he saw a news report a few days ago. After a guy scratched out $1 million jackpot, the first thing the boss lady did was to see if he had paid. Don't make this intention too obvious. It's yours only if you pay. If you don't pay, I will take it away from you. Only a fool would not want $1 million for free. 88 pieces may not seem like a lot, but it is quite a big project to scrape them. The prize for this 21-card scratch-off ticket is determined by the position in which the numbers appear. In short, a number will appear randomly in the upper left corner of each card. Below are 8 rows of scratch-off areas, each row representing a different prize amount. As long as the number in the upper left corner appears in a row, it means you have won the prize. The bonus amount on this line is the amount you win. The content is simple, crude and easy to understand. 5 minutes later. As Luffy scratched the scratch tickets one by one, the originally spacious countertop was already piled up. While taking a break from scraping, Luffy began to count the current winnings. 50, 30, 100. Well, the battle was going well. He has already scratched nearly 3/4 of the way there. I successfully won the grand prize of 400 yuan with a scratch-off ticket worth 1,200 yuan. You can't do it without cheating your father. Seeing this, the shop owner Li Jingming immediately cheered him up, don't worry, handsome guy, there are still 20 or so tickets here, maybe there's a big prize among them. The passers-by watching nearby also started to make a noise, yes, Boss Li's store has won $1,000 jackpot before, there's definitely hope. Before he knew it, Luffy was surrounded by a crowd of onlookers. Most of them are lottery enthusiasts around 30-40 years old. The most outrageous thing is that an old man even stood beside him holding his eldest grandson and watched with interest. It seems that the Shia people's nature of liking to watch the fun can never be changed. Luffy ignored them and rubbed off the excess scratch-off coating powder on his hands and continued with his work. What's interesting is, every time Luffy started to scratch a new card, the people watching behind him would always crane their necks to look at the card nervously. Judging from his expression, he seems to hope to win the jackpot more than Luffy. People are like this. When you buy less, you hope you don't win. Once you reach a certain amount, everyone hopes that you will win the prize. They all hope to witness low-probability events happening before their eyes, which will make them feel involved. In the future, you can be more truthful when bragging to others. 10, 5, 3. As the number of scratch tickets left dwindled, everyone present became more and more nervous. In the end, I didn't even dare to breathe loudly, for fear of missing any wonderful moments. Not to mention them, even Luffy was trembling a little when he looked at the last scratch ticket. His hands were shaking uncontrollably. If everything goes well, the scratch ticket with the grand prize should be the one in front of you. After taking a deep breath, he began to uncover the mystery of the other party. First, scratch the upper left corner, and you will see the familiar number 69. Then you need to scratch the winning area below. First row nothing. There is still no second line. Fifth row still nothing. Line 8 got it. The reward for this line is 5,000. Before Luffy could react, the people watching around him immediately cheered. Holy crap! I actually won 5,000 bucks. 666, this handsome guy can be said to have fought back with only a little health left. Damn it, if I had known I would have bought a $20 scratch ticket last time, this $5,000 grand prize might have been mine. The boss Li Jingming was also very happy when he saw this and congratulated them immediately. Congratulations handsome guy, do you want to redeem this prize now? If a customer wins a jackpot here, the store's business will surely be booming in the next few days. Another small fortune is about to be made. Luffy himself was a little confused for a moment. Etc. Why 5,000? Was T the largest amount in the stack he just saw with his X-ray vision 50,000? Is there something fishy going on? Chapter 13, do you understand what pattern is? Seeing Luffy's strange expression, everyone thought he was too excited and started to make fun of him. Brother, $5,000 is not a small amount, but it shouldn't be this bad, right? What do you know? This is someone's monthly salary. How can I not be excited? Wow, 5,000 a month, and I don't have to pay taxes. It's so wonderful. The shop owner, Li Jingming, keenly noticed something was wrong and asked cautiously, "Handsome man, what's the problem?" There are a lot of people here at the moment, and if he is not careful, the reputation of his shop will be ruined. He couldn't help being careful. Luffy came to his senses after hearing this and questioned, "Boss, I suspect you don't have enough scratch tickets. There are definitely not 88 as promised." As he spoke, his sword-like eyebrows glared at Li Jingming, obviously a little angry. There is absolutely no way the information provided by the X-ray eyes could be wrong, so it could be that the shop owner in front of him had done something secretly. There is a high possibility that the 50,000 grand prize was secretly stolen by the boss. Hearing this, Li Jingming trembled all over. He immediately cried out, "It's impossible, absolutely impossible. The stack of scratch tickets I gave you definitely had 88 tickets. I, Li Jingming, can swear to God." Joke. If Li Jingming had any hesitation at this time, this small shop would definitely not be able to continue operating. In just a short while, several big customers who frequently visited the store in the crowd cast suspicious glances at him. It is obvious that he is putting all the blame for not winning the jackpot before on this incident. Luffy didn't care about that and started counting the scratch tickets on the table in front of everyone present. He has not moved since he paid the money, so there is no way that the 50,000 yuan grand prize could disappear. Li Jingming also stared at his movements nervously, fearing that he would count wrong. If we are not careful, this store will be out of business. The crowd gathered together, stretched their necks and began to count silently in their hearts. If this is confirmed, they will immediately turn into judges and criticize. Some very chatty people even have a draft ready in their mind, just waiting to perform. Li Jingming was under tremendous pressure at this time. He somewhat regretted not taking more time to count them. After all, if you walk by the river often, you will get your feet wet. If you are short-sighted and make a wrong estimate, you will become the target of public criticism. He admitted that he had acted opportunistically when meeting big customers in the past, but it had never gotten to this point. Just when Li Jingming's heart was about to rise to his throat, Luffy's logarithmic engineering also came to an end. 84, 85, 86, 87. There are only 87, boss. How about you explain it? Looking at the stack of scratch tickets in his hand, Luffy straightened his body and looked at the store owner with a bad look. At the same time, the people watching behind him all looked at him. For a moment, dozens of questioning eyes fell on Li Jingming, making him feel very uneasy. Under such heavy pressure, he could only raise his hand tremblingly, indicating that he wanted to count again. Even though he was eloquent, he didn't dare to say a word at this time. Because once you open your mouth, others will think you are quibbling. Only facts can clear him of suspicion. So, after taking a deep breath to relieve some of the pressure, he counted again. Well, it's still 87. Luffy didn't count wrong. Luffy immediately became rude upon seeing this and asked, "Explain it to me, boss. Everyone is watching. I paid you the 1,750 yuan just now." He was already beginning to feel fortunate that he had the foresight to pay in advance, otherwise the store owner would have been given the opportunity to quibble. After all, there were only 2 of them in the store at that time, and without the payment amount to prove the number of scratch tickets, they would not be able to explain clearly when the time came. But Luffy still underestimated the cunning of human nature. Li Jingming, who was sweating profusely, so that the situation was not right, and actually started to argue, "Handsome guy, you paid 1,750 yuan, but you can't prove that all you bought were scratch tickets worth 20 yuan each. Maybe there's one for $10. Look, there are still quite a few scraps left in the trash can." Luffy smiled slightly, "Boss, are you sure there's something in the trash can now?" Li Jingming was stunned. "That's impossible. It will definitely." Before he finished speaking, he suddenly remembered that he had nothing to do today, so he cleaned the lottery shop inside and out. At this time, everything was clean, without any trace of scratch-off lottery tickets or garbage. Good job. He dug his own grave. Luffy didn't need to say anything as the people behind him who felt they had been fooled glared at him. Prepare to let Li Jingming experience what it means to be criticized verbally and in writing. If this store can still be open tomorrow, it will be their responsibility. At this moment, the eldest grandson in the old man's arms suddenly spoke up, "Grandpa, what is that thing under the uncle's feet?" "Things? What are they?" The sudden sound of a child interrupted everyone's thoughts, and they all lowered their heads to check. Even Luffy is no exception. "Is there any fish that slipped through the net?" Suddenly, an excited shout rang out from the store. "Here! There's another one here! The number is correct." Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw Li Jingming waving a scratch ticket in his hand. Seeing that everyone's eyes were back on him, he coughed awkwardly and started talking nonsense without any shame. I might have remembered it wrongly. This handsome guy bought all $20 scratch tickets. It's possible that I accidentally dropped this photo when I took it out. Luckily it was discovered, otherwise the flood would have washed away the Dragon King temple and caused a huge misunderstanding. Luffy didn't bother to talk nonsense after hearing that. He took the scratch card and scratched it without hesitation. As expected, the glittering 10,000 yuan grand prize immediately appeared in front of everyone. Luffy smiled calmly upon seeing this. "I told you, my eyes of X-ray vision will never be wrong. Look, I easily earned 50,000 yuan. He was relieved, but the others who were watching were not calm. Damn it! What is going on? It would have been fine if this kid had only won 5,000 yuan before, but he actually won another 50,000 yuan jackpot right after. It's totally unreasonable." The huge gap from 5,000 to 50,000 made everyone start to envy Luffy. Well, why am I not the one with such luck? If I had this money, I could just lie down and relax this year. The shop owner was so happy that he couldn't stop smiling. Only he can feel the deepest the joy from great sorrow to great joy. Under the huge stimulation of someone winning the 10,000 yuan prize, no one cared about his ghost identification just now. Even many veteran lottery fans are eager to try and plan to buy a lot of scratch tickets to get some good luck. Li Jingming was not in a hurry either. He counted the winnings of the scratch-off lottery tickets for Luffy very quickly. "Handsome guy. I calculated for you. You won a total of 55,450 yuan tonight. Should I transfer it to you via WeChat or Alipay?" Luffy was very open-minded and said directly and boldly, "Just transfer 55,000 to me via WeChat, and use the rest of the money to buy some food and drinks for everyone present, so that we can share the joy together." Everyone burst into laughter when they heard this, and praised Luffy for deserving to win the grand prize. Li Jingming naturally would not object. After transferring the money to Luffy, he immediately greeted the owner of the supermarket next door. "Please feel free to send melon seeds, drinks, snacks, etc. over here, because we have a big customer paying the bill tonight." Everyone felt uncomfortable for a moment. What everyone didn't know was that Luffy, the protagonist of the incident, quietly slipped away. Chapter 14, "Brother, your wife seems to be online." Half an hour later. Zhang Hao was immediately frightened when he saw Luffy coming back with a lot of bags. "Damn it, Laolu, you were going to buy scratch tickets. Why did you bring back so many things like you robbed a supermarket?" Luffy doesn't have the time to explain to him right now. Seeing that he was not busy, she immediately urged him to come over to help. "Howsy, don't worry about it for now. This thing in your hand is a bit heavy. Come over and give me a hand." Zhang Hao quickly stood up and went to the living room to take it. "What on earth did you buy? It's so heavy." After putting the things down, Luffy rubbed his shoulders and motioned for the other party to look at it himself. Zhang Hao opened it without hesitation and was instantly shocked. "Fuck you. Laolu. What's going on? You actually bought 2 durians this big. Don't you think it's too expensive?" Luffy smiled slightly. "Are you scared already? Why don't you take a look at the other things?" Zhang Hao swallowed his saliva and carefully opened the remaining bags. Cherries. Salac. Shrimp chips. The more he looked, the more frightened he became. Almost none of them were cheap. What's going on? When did my roommate become so generous? The total value of these things in front of me is at least more than 1,000 yuan. In the past, the other party would not touch any of them. Could something have happened? Thinking of this, Zhang Hao looked at Luffy nervously. "Old Lu, you are not going to have much time left, are you?" Otherwise, why would there be such violent consumption all of a sudden? Luffy was a little confused. Why would you think in this direction? Couldn't it be some other reason? Zhang Hao blurted out, what other reason could there be? Don't tell me you got rich overnight. Luffy spread his hands and pretended to be cool. What if that's the case? Zhang Hao was shocked. Damn you, don't tell me you really won the jackpot. I am not afraid of my brother's suffering, but I am afraid that my brothers will suddenly drive a Land Rover. This is the true portrayal in many people's hearts. Zhang Hao is no exception. Luffy didn't say anything, but just silently opened 5 fingers and let the other party guess. Zhang Hao understood instantly. Fuck. You are so lucky today. What do these 5 fingers mean? Did you win $5,000? Luffy shook his head, signaling the other party to be braver. Zhang Hao was stunned for a moment, then suddenly cursed, damn it. Don't tell me it's 50,000 yuan. This is a bit heartless. Luffy continued to shake his head, indicating that it was not enough. Zhang Hao couldn't sit still any longer. He was shaking with shock, and his fat flesh was all over his body. Oh my god, don't tell me it's 500,000 or 5 million. This is a joke. Luffy couldn't hold back when he saw this. What are you thinking, Housey? 500,000 or 5 million? If I had that kind of luck, I wouldn't be here to share a house with you. Zhang Hao was confused. How much is that? Laolu, don't keep me in suspense. Luffy revealed the answer. Hey, no more, no less, exactly 55,000 yuan. Zhang Hao stood up and grabbed Luffy's shoulders. Okay, Laolu, your luck is about to change. Today is a triple blessing. It was Luffy's turn to be confused. What do you mean by 3 good things coming together? This is only 2 good things at most. The first good news was that Zhang Hao used his account to refine monsters and got 3 special boys with 15 skills. The second good news was that he won the grand prize by scratching out. Where do these 3 joys come from? The other party definitely doesn't know that I have the ability to see through things, so this is definitely not a good thing. Zhang Hao didn't waste any time. He took out a few cherries from the box to moisten his throat and immediately began to explain. But it would be better if he didn't say this. Once Luffy said this, it became even weirder. Because Zhang Hao said something confusing. Laolu, your wife seems to be online now, and she even sent you a message. Luffy was stunned when he heard this. No, Hiroko, when did I get a wife? How come I didn't know? Don't talk nonsense. It will affect my reputation. Zhang Hao looked at him with disdain. Are you a grown man afraid of this gossip? Luffy nodded to show that he was scared. There is a huge difference between first marriage and second marriage. Zhang Hao didn't care about that and signaled him to continue guessing. Luffy thought about it for a long time, but still shook his head to indicate that he didn't know. Seeing this, Zhang Hao took the initiative to give a hint. Don't tell me that you have forgotten the story of the Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood. Hearing this, Luffy's mouth twitched, as if he remembered something. If he remembered correctly, he had a very passionate chat with a girl when he was secretly playing Fantasy Westward Journey in high school. After a few interactions, the two got married in the game. At that time, we followed the trend and changed our names to non-mainstream couple names, which seemed to be Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood. Somehow, Little Red Riding Hood disappeared inexplicably. Luffy also faded out of the game for various reasons. In the end, this ill-fated relationship was buried deep in memory and never came to an end. It was not until Zhang Hao mentioned him again just now that I suddenly remembered him. Oh shit. So, his gaming wife who died almost 6 years ago has actually been resurrected. It's totally off the mark. Zhang Hao winked when he saw him remembering. By the way, your wife Little Red Riding Hood should still be online now. Do you want to go and rekindle the old love? He had just taken a special look at Little Red Riding Hood's dream space, and there was no doubt that the other party was a pure girl. He contacted Luffy as soon as he came online. It seems that this guy is not far from being single. Luffy hesitated for a while, and felt that it was necessary to go and take a look. After all, Little Red Riding Hood was one of the few people of the opposite sex with whom he could chat happily. But as soon as he arrived at Zhang Hao's bedroom, Luffy smelled a familiar smell. Come on, this kid secretly rewarded himself while he was away. Luffy was not surprised. After adjusting for a while, he went straight to the computer screen. Just click the mouse to view the dreamy chat messages. The friend channel of Fantasy Westward Journey is very similar to the PC version of QQ, so you can see the chat information between the two parties by just clicking it. Little Red Riding Hood, wow, Big Bad Wolf, you are still alive. What a miracle. Little Red Riding Hood, you have a little conscience. You haven't divorced me for all these years. I reward you with a kiss. Little Red Riding Hood, hey. Why are you ignoring me? Are you in love with someone else? Little Red Riding Hood, 6, there are 4 female accounts in the team, what a scumbag. Looking at the long list of messages that he had read but not replied to, Luffy had the urge to hit someone. This guy Zhang Hao is really enough. He replied that it was not him. Is it so difficult to be an online substitute now? Zhang Hao, who was standing by, blushed a little when he saw this. He scratched his head and said embarrassedly, Laolu. You know, I have social phobia. I can't say anything when I'm in front of girls. Luffy was silent for a long time before he said, but what's in front of you is a computer. Zhang Hao realized it in time, fuck. That's right. Luffy didn't want to talk to him for the time being. He just felt that this guy's misogyny was hopeless. This has become a subconscious reaction. While Little Red Riding Hood is still online, he plans to explain it again. But who would have thought that as soon as I started editing, the other person's avatar suddenly turned dark? Finished. The person is offline. Now the scumbag will be confirmed. In desperation, Luffy gave up the idea of reminiscing about the past. I just sent him my current WeChat account and then ignored it. There is no need to force fate too much. It's time to arrive. However, Zhang Hao felt extremely sinful when he saw this scene. He came straight to Luffy carrying a big durian from the living room and began to apologize. Chapter 15, Manager, you are not missing me, are you? This scene scared Luffy. Howsy, what do you want to do? You don't want to monopolize the durian. Zhang Hao was stunned for a moment, then said with a guilty look on his face, it's all my fault. That's why your relationship with your wife Little Red Riding Hood broke down. Laolu, just hit me a few times, that way I'll feel better. Luffy thought it was a big deal and patted his shoulder, it's okay, it's just a little red hat, it's no big deal. As the saying goes, brothers are like limbs and women are like clothes. This matter will be over in a few words. Zhang Hao continued to insist, no, old way. The more you say that, the more I feel bad. Just scold me a few times. If it really doesn't work, just make a request and I will try my best to satisfy you. Just consider it as compensation. Luffy was a little speechless. Come on, this guy Zhang Hao is getting stuck in a rut again. As a friend, Luffy felt that he had a responsibility to help him correct it. So he changed his mind and said deliberately in a vulgar way, Howsy, you said it, try your best to satisfy my every request. Seeing his obscene gaze, Zhang Hao instinctively shrank back. Well, Laolu, I've always treated you as a brother, so don't think of stealing my life. This is immoral. Luffy looked at him with disgust, go away, who wants to take the back road? My sexual orientation is correct. Zhang Hao was a little unconvinced, then what does that obscene look of yours mean? Don't tell me you have other intentions. Luffy smiled obscenely, Hiroko, I've heard you say there's a beautiful sister working in another province, how about introducing her to me? Based on our relationship, shouldn't we digest this internally? Zhang Hao looked at him strangely when he heard that, you're so good, Luffy. I treat you as a brother, but you secretly want to be my brother-in-law. This is a bit too much. Luffy was shameless, men should get married when they are old enough, and women should get married when they are old enough. What's too much? If this is accomplished, the relationship between our brother-in-law and brother-in-law will be ironclad, and there will be absolutely no problems in the future. Zhang Hao hesitated, it seems to make sense, but the problem is that my sister seems to be a lesbian, and she is also afraid of men. Luffy's eyes widened, what is lace? Zhang Hao explained, Lala, it means the same as fencing. When Luffy heard this, a row of alpaca passed by his mind. These two siblings are absolutely amazing. One is homophobic and the other is feminophobic. How unbelievable. Thinking of this, Luffy sighed helplessly, it seems that this wish of strengthening the relationship between relatives will be in vain. Why don't you just help me open both durians, and that will be your atonement? Upon hearing this, Zhang Hao nodded frantically like a chick pecking at rice. He ran to the kitchen happily with the durian in his hand. The next day, The weather is clear and the air is fresh. Luffy was awakened from his sleep by a hurried phone call. After reluctantly reaching out to pick up the bedside phone, he answered the call in a bad mood. "Who is this? Can't you let me sleep so early in the morning?" There was a pause on the other end of the phone before a familiar female voice sounded. "It's me, Liu Yu." Seeing that it was her, Luffy yawned and spoke slowly. "What's wrong, manager? Is there anything you want to talk about so early?" Hearing this, Liu Yu immediately yelled, "Get lost! It's so early in the morning. Do you know what time it is now?" Luffy glanced at the time on his phone. "It's 10 in the morning. Isn't this a good time to sleep in?" Liu Yu said unhappily, "You know it's already 10 o'clock, where are you? Do you still want to come to work?" Luffy suddenly realized, so that's what it is. "Well, I'm sorry, manager. I slept too late last night, so I'll take a day off today." Liu Yu was furious. "I won't approve it. If you want to apply for leave, come here in person with your leave application slip." Luffy was in a good mood and deliberately teased, "Manager, you didn't miss me, did you? Otherwise, why did you emphasize that I have to apply in person?" Liu Yu was furious. "You son of a bitch, this is the company's policy. Who would want a scoundrel like you? I wish you would disappear from now on." Luffy smiled when he heard that. "That's it. If I'm not here, you won't be bothered. So what else do you need a bicycle for?" Liu Yu was speechless for a moment. "Yes, that seems to be the case. Wouldn't it be embarrassing for me to call him over specially?" Thinking of this, she immediately prepared to hang up the phone. "Get out of here, bastard. I'll record him as absent from work for 1 day and deduct 3 days' salary." But who would have thought that as soon as this thought arose, Luffy's faint voice sounded in Liu Yu's ears. "Manager, please help me with the field work. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that your little secret will not be made public." After saying that, the call was hung up without waiting for Liu Yu to reply. She was so angry that she was fuming. This scoundrel actually gave remote commands, which is so abominable. Thinking of this, Liu Yu couldn't bear it anymore. Decided to find someone to take out his anger on in the department. So she threw her phone away, twisted her waist and left the office in her high heels. Unfortunately, as soon as she went out, she saw Luffy's empty workstation and Li Yang, who was tinkering with his work. Then a loud roar rang out in the department again. "Li Yang? What are you doing during working hours? Come to my office." Li Yang, who was chatting enthusiastically with Song Jihui, suddenly shuddered all over and a bitter smile appeared on his face. It's over. This month's performance appraisal is completely gone. At this moment, he missed Luffy a little bit. With him around, at least he wouldn't be the first target. Forehead. That's not right. It seems that guy has been ignored by the manager. Even for not showing up for the meeting this morning, Liu Yu, that witch, didn't he criticize him by name? The other side. After hanging up the phone, Luffy took another nap and didn't wake up until 3 in the afternoon. He didn't know how long it had been since he had slept so comfortably. At this moment, the whole person feels as comfortable as if reborn. It really is true. Money can cure all diseases. Once this person is free from the pressure of running around for 3 meals a day, every part of his body will feel uncomfortable. After stretching his body, he changed into new clothes, opened the door and went to the living room. The living room was a bit messy at this moment, with the remains of various precious fruits randomly placed on the coffee table and dining table. This was the result of Luffy and Zhang Hao eating and drinking to their heart's content last night. After thinking about it, Luffy decided to ask a housekeeper to clean up. Now that you have money in your pocket, you have to spend it. Otherwise, what is the point of making money? After calling the housekeeper on the app, he knocked on his roommate Zhang Hao's door to inform him. Finally, he went out and took a taxi towards the north of the city. Hey. Now that you have the ability to see through things, how can you not go to the Jade Market to take a look? He has been curious about the legendary gambling on stones for a long time. Chapter 16, Sir, I am a newbie, please don't lie to me. 1 hour later. North of the city, Treasure Street. Treasure Street, as the name suggests, is a street full of treasures. As soon as Luffy got out of the car, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. Behind a tall crown, there stood an ancient street. Both sides of the road are mostly 2- or 3-story old buildings in classical style, which have a sense of age. The street below is filled with stalls of all sizes. There are all kinds of expensive-looking treasures on it, such as jade bracelets, which often attract passers-by to stop and watch. But the price is a bit intriguing. 30, 50, 200, 300, and even tens of thousands of them were piled together. To the average person, there is almost no difference. This situation immediately aroused Luffy's interest, and he immediately used his perspective eyes to observe. It doesn't matter if you don't watch it, but once you watch it, you will regret it. It turns out, these things just have different marked prices, but their actual values are almost the same. To put it simply, they are all fake. Good job. These stall owners all look kind-hearted, but it turns out they are just looking for someone to take advantage of them. It only takes a short while. A young man who looked about the same age as Luffy couldn't resist the temptation. He successfully bargained the price down to half with his eloquent tongue, and got a pair of jade bracelets for $1,000, which cost only $20. 50 times the profit. Anyone who comes across it will be delighted. But the stall owner, who was in his 60s, looked extremely distressed, as if he was possessed by the movie star. It's almost like the words huge loss are written on his face. In this regard, Luffy could only say that he was helpless. He is not a pushover who cannot bear to see people suffering. Instead of spending time on this, he might as well enjoy himself. After all, human hearts are hard to predict. The lesson of how to repay kindness with enmity is still fresh in our minds. Seeing this, Luffy gave up the idea of wandering around and decided to get straight to the point of looking for a place to gamble on stones. So he walked straight inside. But sometimes if you don't deliver the goods to their door, people may choose to rob you on the road. Just after walking a few steps, he was stopped by an old man who looked very friendly. "You look unfamiliar, young man. Is this your first time visiting Treasure Street?" Luffy pointed at himself, indicating that the other party was talking to him. The old man stamped his feet and said, "Hey, there are only two of us here, how can I chat with the heir?" Luffy looked doubtful. It's hard to say. Once a man gets old, he tends to have problems. Maybe he was just talking to himself. The old man was not angry either. "I wonder why you, a young man, are so outspoken. Don't talk nonsense. Although I am 65 years old, I am still in good health." Luffy didn't say anything, but turned on the perspective channel with a glare. In this place full of cunning people, an old man like this who takes the initiative to talk to someone definitely has no good intentions. You never know, you might be treating yourself as a fat sheep to be slaughtered. In fact, he was not wrong. With a flash of blue light, a group of words reorganized above his field of vision. "Liuking, this young man looks easy to deceive. I will trick him and bring him to Laoli to slaughter him. Come on, he was right, he was here specifically to kill people." Luffy had heard of this kind of person before. They specifically attract people who don't know much about the business to buy things in exclusive stores, and then they take commissions from the store owners. Similar to the black tour guides in some tour groups. The main point is the speed of changing faces, where people are enthusiastic before buying, cold as iron when not buying, and turn their backs on you after buying. It's a one-time deal. Seeing this situation, Luffy originally planned to ignore this Liuking. But on second thought, I feel it is unnecessary. I have X-ray vision, what should I be afraid of? The old man is so enthusiastic that I can't let him down. I have to cooperate with him no matter what. Just think of it as a free tour guide. After all, these savvy people who hang out in Treasure Street all year round definitely know this place very well. Maybe they even know which store is the most shady and makes the biggest profit. Thinking of this, Luffy's expression changed and he pretended to be a young man who was inexperienced in the world. He scratched his head embarrassedly. I'm sorry, sir. My friend told me there are a lot of scammers here, don't talk to strangers easily." Liuking was delighted when he saw this, as such pure little lambs are not uncommon. So he spoke more enthusiastically, it's okay. I'm not a petty person. Besides, your friend is right. There are a lot of scammers here. You have to be more careful. Luffy deliberately asked after hearing this, "Then you are not a liar, are you?" Liuking immediately denied it. "How can that be possible? I am well known for my warm-heartedness on this street. If you don't believe me, just go to any stall and ask." Luffy pretended not to believe it. "Really? Then I'll really ask you." After saying that, he walked to a stall nearby and asked a male stall owner who looked to be in his 30s. "Brother, is what this gentleman said true? He is not lying to me, right?" The male stall owner was very enthusiastic. Of course, this old man is a native of this street. He is very kind. Luffy's eye twitched and he almost couldn't hold it in. His intuition told him that these two people were definitely in the same group or had some vested interests. So his pupils shrank and he looked at it slightly. Liu Jin, it looks like my second uncle is going to open his shop again. Why don't I have any business today? It doesn't make sense. 6. Really 6. It seems like these two are related. Which young person would not be fooled by this double act? Fortunately, I have X-ray vision and can see through everything. But Luffy was not in a hurry to expose it. He also expected Uncle Liu to act as a free tour guide and teach him some knowledge about gambling on stones. That's right. Luffy just came here on impulse. In fact, the knowledge about jade is like opening up 6 of the 7 orifices, commonly known as knowing nothing. So after getting a positive answer from the male stall owner, Luffy leaned over and started to improvise like an actor. After moving to Liu Kang's side, Luffy smiled innocently. Sir, I'm really sorry for offending you just now. Liu Kang waved his hand. It's okay. It's good for young people to be a little cautious when they go out. Luffy nodded quickly in agreement. Seeing the expression on his face, Liu Kang felt that he had gained initial trust. He began to show his true colors. Young man, I saw you just walked straight in. Do you want to go and have a look at the gambling stones or buy some jade products for your family? Luffy told the truth. I'll be honest with you. I came here for only one purpose. I have some spare money and I plan to buy a rock to play with. A gleam of light flashed in Liu Kang's eyes. So you are going to gamble on the stone yourself? This thing is very tricky. If you are young and not careful, you can be easily fooled. As someone who has been through this, I advise you to think it over carefully first. Luffy pretended to trust him. With an old veteran like you here, I think it shouldn't be a big problem. Liu Kang was secretly delighted, but on the surface he remained calm and acted as if he was speaking with great sincerity. Whatever. Since you trust me so much, I will accompany you and explain the tricks to you. After saying that, he turned around and led Luffy to the depths of the street. Chapter 17, everything is under control. In order to make money, Mr. Liu Kang works very hard. While walking, he taught Luffy some basic knowledge. Boy, do you know how many types of jade there are? Of course Luffy didn't know, he just vaguely remembered the imperial green that the protagonist on TV often mentioned. So I blurted out, hey, uncle, I only know one color, imperial green, and I'm clueless about the others. Liu Kang stroked his beard and pretended to be profound. You see, this shows the importance of knowing the business. The imperial green you mentioned is actually just a classification based on the degree of color. It is a little different from this type. Luffy was puzzled. Do you mean there are other ways to distinguish them? Liu Kang nodded, indicating that there were some. Luffy thought about it and said what was on his mind. Could it be based on purity? Liu Kang showed an admiring look. Although this young man doesn't know much, he has a flexible mind. Be careful when you trick him later. Seeing that the suspense had almost been solved, he didn't waste any time and started explaining directly. Generally speaking, based on the purity of jadeite, we in this industry will roughly divide it into 4 types, namely glass type, ice type, glutinous type, and bin type. Glass type is the purest and most expensive type, while bin type is the cheapest. Luffy took over the conversation. Master, if that's the case, then the small jade bracelets and jade Buddha statues that can be seen everywhere on the street are all bin type. Liu Kang smiled and said, you are wrong. Although this bin type jade is much worse than the previous types, it is still a good grade. It is still much better than the ordinary ones. There are so many kinds of goods on the street. Those who still have a conscience will at most sell some inferior genuine jadeite to pass it off as genuine goods, while some wicked people even try to make fakes look real. It's hard for people who don't know the industry to tell the difference. Luffy pretended to be shocked. No way, we are in a society ruled by law now. Aren't you afraid of being caught for doing this? Hearing this, Liu Kang looked around and squinted his eyes and whispered, young man, you don't understand this. Who can do this without some background and means? If it's so easy to get in, I might as well change my career as soon as possible. To put it bluntly, as long as the benefits are high, there are many people willing to take risks. Don't you think so? Luffy nodded in agreement. Take the scene he first saw, for example. The item, which originally cost 20 yuan, was sold to the young man for 1,000 yuan by the 60-year-old stall owner. This move means a 50-fold profit, who wouldn't he be tempted? Liu Kang was delighted when he saw the expression on his face, thinking that the level of trust between the two had increased. After thinking about it, he decided to find another reason to further enhance the relationship between the two parties. This way it will be easier when the time comes to harvest. So his eyes rolled and he started to have another little idea. Boy, do you want to play an interesting little test? Luffy became interested. Okay, there's nothing important to do later anyway. After hearing this, Liu Kang lowered his head and whispered in Luffy's ear. After he finished speaking, he took out 50 yuan from his pocket and handed it to him. I won't frame you, I'll pay for you first. If it works, just give me the money. I'll consider this little thing as a gift to you. Luffy was stunned when he heard this. That's not good, uncle. It's not even half an hour since we met. You're giving me money. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? Liu Kang laughed and said, money is something outside of one's body. I am old now, and it is not easy to find a friend to talk to. Why should I care about these things? Seeing this, Luffy didn't say much and turned to walk towards a stall not far away. As soon as he walked away, his eyes were full of vigilance. This old fox is really cunning. He actually played the same trick with him. You can't catch the wolf without sacrificing the lamb. It's simple. Liu Kang just told Luffy that the items sold at many stalls on Treasure Street are actually very low in cost, lower than most people imagine. Something that looks great and is priced at tens of thousands of dollars may actually cost less than $20. As long as you dare to bargain, you can even get it at a super discounted price. In order to make Luffy completely believe, Liu Kang even spent 50 oceans of his own money to sponsor him. The purpose is to deepen the relationship between the two after the success. Be prepared for the subsequent dirty tricks and kickbacks. For example, there was a jade bracelet with a price tag of 50,000 yuan on the stall in front, and Liu Kang insisted that he could sell it for 50 yuan. Luffy was skeptical about this. So as soon as I saw the boss, I immediately used my X-ray vision. Ping, I am quite superstitious. Alas, I haven't made any sales in a month. My wife is going crazy. Let us have a good start. Ping is very worried now. He doesn't know why there is not a single customer visiting his stall this month. He was so depressed that he almost died. Fortunately, my luck may turn around now, as a young customer has come. Still a rookie, it seems like he could make a lot of money. But who would have thought that this idea would be shattered as soon as it came up? Because this young man spoke. Boss, this jade bracelet is nice, can you have a little less? Luffy asked as if it was a serious matter, pointing at the bracelet with a price tag of 50,000. Ping began to brag, this handsome guy, you have a good eye, this bracelet is. He was interrupted by Luffy as soon as he started. Just say less or more, don't waste your words. Ping was stunned, thinking that Luffy might be an impatient person, so he rolled his eyes and changed his strategy. Handsome guy, if you really want it, I can give you a 95% discount. How about selling it to you for 47,500? Luffy smiled, $100, I'll pay right now. Ping thought he had heard it wrong, my dear, are you kidding me? You want to buy my bracelet for only 100 yuan, which is priced at 50,000 yuan. Luffy showed his big white teeth, now it's $80, I can pay in cash. Ping found it unbelievable. Could it be that he was here to cause trouble? So he said solemnly, customer, if you want to find a bargain, you can go to the street stalls. The goods there are cheaper. This bracelet of mine is made from genuine old mines. If I sell it for 80 yuan, I will lose a lot of money. Luffy took out $50 and said, $50. If you don't sell it to me, I'll leave immediately. Ping was silent. He was now certain that this young man was definitely not as simple as he appeared to be. Most likely an expert. You can tell at a glance what the cost of this bracelet, which is priced at 50,000 yuan, is. Now he is a little hesitant, not knowing whether to sell it to the other party. If he doesn't sell it, he won't suffer any loss, but his record of not opening for more than a month will continue. After selling it, he still did not suffer any loss, but he got a good opening jackpot. People in this line of work tend to be superstitious, and Ping believes especially in changing one's luck. After a fierce ideological struggle, he decided to choose the latter. So when Luffy turned around and was about to leave, he immediately called him. Okay. Just 50. I'll just consider it as making a friend. Chapter 18, One knife makes you rich, two knives make you poor, and three knives make you bankrupt. A few minutes later, Liu Kang looked at Luffy with a smile. Well, sir, was I right? Luffy nodded. Master, you are really very predictable. The boss's reaction is exactly the same as what you said. Liu Kang was proud. That's not the case. After all, I have been in Jinbao Street for decades and have cooperated with countless merchants. I am confident about this. Luffy's mouth curled up slightly when he heard that, and he secretly complained in his heart. This old fox can't stand being praised. He showed his true colors as he spoke. How about letting me tease you? So he deliberately asked in confusion, cooperated with countless businesses. What does that mean? Liu Kang was stunned and a little embarrassed. He slapped his head and immediately tried to smooth things over. Har, look at my mouth. I'm too old to be useful. I was wrong just now. I should say I've helped countless people. It's right to cheat. Looking at the expression on the other person's face, Luffy sneered in his heart. However, he did not show it on his face. Instead, he picked up the jade bracelet in his hand and asked, Master, why don't you give me this bracelet? After all, you paid for it. Liu Kang quickly evaded the question. No, I promised to give it to you and it's yours. How can I go back on my word? Luffy was so dramatic, but I don't want to receive anything without any merit, I feel so embarrassed. Liu Kang pretended to be angry. Boy. If you do this again, I will be unhappy. I, an old man, will never go back on my word. Otherwise, what kind of people would we become? Although he said this, Liu Kang actually started cursing in his heart. Why is this kid so slow? He's even fussy about collecting something. If it wasn't for the purpose of cheating you, the old man would have taken the jade bracelet back long ago. Luffy was secretly using his X-ray vision at this time, so he naturally knew what Liu Kang was thinking at the moment. I could hardly hold back my laughter. It's so much fun to play like this. Not only can I satisfy my craving for acting, but I can also earn $50 for free. It's simply wonderful. The most important thing is that he enjoys having everything under control. After refusing for a while, Luffy reluctantly accepted it. Liu Kang was so angry that he almost blew his beard and glared on the spot. 5 minutes later. Li's Jade Wholesale Headquarters. Two people, one old and one young, came to their door. It was Luffy and Liu Kang. Just as the two were about to enter, Luffy was attracted by the movement in the shop next door. There were dozens of people gathered in the small square in front of the shop, seemingly discussing something. Seeing this, he immediately asked Liu Kang, "What are you doing, uncle?" The other party took a glance and said solemnly, "That's the gambling scene. It's very lively, isn't it?" Luffy instantly became interested. "How about we go check it out first?" Liu Kang thought about it and decided that this was an okay idea. The customers are already at the door, can you still fly away? So he followed Luffy over there. By the time they arrived, the place was packed with people. Fortunately, Luffy is quite tall, so he can still roughly see the scene inside by standing on tiptoe. I saw a spacious area in the center of the crowd, with two people standing inside. One is a middle-aged man in a suit who is full of confidence and looks like a buyer. The other one was a master craftsman wearing reading glasses and full of equipment, who was fiddling with the cutting machine meticulously. You can tell at first glance that he is an expert. At the focus of their sight, a large stone stood there, very eye-catching. Especially under the bright sunshine, there is a fine scratch on the big rock that is as dazzling as glass and is very eye-catching. It seems like there is a kind of magic that attracts people to watch it. Wow! This is a big job. In this situation, even Liu Kang, who was standing by, couldn't help but sigh, seeming very surprised. Seeing this, Luffy asked curiously, "Uncle, is this stone very expensive? Is it worth millions?" Liu Kang blinked his lips and smiled softly, "Hundreds of millions. You are probably underestimating it. Based on its size and the quality of the jadeite it shows, it should be worth at least 5 million. Luffy was shocked. "No way, this stone isn't that big, it looks like it only weighs a few hundred pounds." Liu Kang shook his head and continued to explain science. When gambling on jade, you don't just look at the size of the stone, you also have to pay attention to the quality of the jadeite exposed on the outside. Do you see the crack in the stone? Is it as pure as glass? Luffy nodded to indicate that it was indeed the case. That's right, this is the highest quality glass jade. As long as at least a quarter of the inside of the stone is the same as the outside, the buyer will make a fortune. Luffy became more curious. How much can I earn? Liu Pei hesitated for a moment and held up 5 fingers. At least it can be doubled. If the area is larger, the value will even increase exponentially. Luffy was really shocked. What the hell? Doesn't this mean that I can make tens of millions just by moving my fingers? Liu Pei immediately felt the need to dampen his expectations, otherwise things would not end well. So he said earnestly, "This is not the way to calculate gambling on stones. Have you ever heard a saying?" Luffy was a little confused. What? Liu Kang deliberately emphasized his tone. 1 knife makes you rich, 2 knives make you poor, and 3 knives can even make you bankrupt. Luffy didn't fully understand. Master, would you like to explain it to me? Liu Kang took a deep breath and began to explain. The so-called one-cut wealth is this one cut. As long as the goods are sold, everyone will be happy and become rich overnight. This is easy to understand, and Luffy nodded in agreement. Liu Kang continued to explain without further ado. As for the second knife being poor, it's easier to understand. If you fail to sell the product on the first try, if you stop and try again, someone might take it. Even if you lose money at this point, it won't be much. But if you dare to make a second move, the value of the stone will drop drastically if nothing comes out of it. You may even lose everything. Don't you think you'll be poor? Luffy suddenly realized and began to add to it. In that case, does the bankruptcy of 3 knives mean that the gambler's mentality appears, and people are desperate to buy a new stone to make back their money, which is why they go bankrupt? After hearing this, Liu Kang stroked his beard and showed an expression of approval. Although this boy seems to be inexperienced, he has a high level of understanding. It seems that I have to pay attention to the way of communication when I try to trick him later, otherwise it will be easy to be exposed. Just as Liu Kang had this idea, the crowd around him suddenly burst into loud exclamations. The two looked carefully and saw that the original big stone had been split into 2. And the fine lines beneath that shiny glass-type jade are actually all stones. Seeing this scene, Luffy knew that Dao Fu's dream was about to be shattered. As expected, the middle-aged man who was full of confidence before suddenly looked much more haggard, and his eyes began to be visibly bloodshot. He started mumbling to himself. Impossible. Impossible. Where is my glass jadeite? Oh my god. This is 5 million. All my fortune. You can't be so blind. As soon as these words were spoken, the onlookers began to talk about it. Alas. Mr. Wang is also pitiful. He seems to have lost tens of millions in the market this month. If he doesn't ship out the goods, he will probably go bankrupt. That's right. I heard that this 5 million is his last sum of money, and it was borrowed. I don't know if he will make a second move. I think it's very likely that he will continue. Looking at his expression, I know that he has completely lost himself. Yes, that's what I think. For a while, the discussions around became louder and louder, and many people expressed deep sympathy for Mr. Wang's situation. Of course, there are also people who sneer at him, thinking that he is just a gambler and does not deserve sympathy. Luffy had no emotion about this, he just silently turned on his perspective eyes. Chapter 19, Uncle, would you like to sell this broken stone? As Luffy glared hard, a set of words reappeared in his sight. A pile of broken stones, maybe there are some little secrets hidden in it. It needs someone with destiny to discover it. What does this mean? Looking at the line of perspective analysis in front of him, Luffy was a little confused. You say it is a broken stone, and you also say there are little secrets in it that need to be discovered by the right person. These ambiguous words left him confused for a moment. Could it be that I didn't open my eyes hard enough, and the stone was too big for my X-ray eyes to fully analyze it? Thinking of this, Luffy felt it necessary to try again. After all, he still felt plenty of energy right now, so it wouldn't hurt to try a few more times. Just as he was about to stare again, Liu Kang next to him noticed his strange behavior and asked curiously. Boy, I noticed you have been staring at that broken stone since a while ago. Are you interested in it? Luffy smiled when he heard that. Master, you just cut it, how can you be sure that it's just a broken stone? Maybe there are treasures in there. Liu Kang looked at him with disdain. Hey, old man, I've been on this street for decades, so I still have some good eyesight. Did you notice that the crack in the glass-type jadeite disappeared as soon as it entered the stone 3/4 of the way? Luffy glanced at it and said, it is indeed gone. So what? What else can you say? Liu Kang blurted out, in the jargon, the road ahead is cut off, which means there's no point in even making a second cut. No, look at the crowd of onlookers, are they leaving one after another? Hearing this, Luffy looked around and found that many people were indeed starting to leave one after another. In just this short moment, he could see clearly what was inside without even standing on tiptoe. It seems that the old man did not lie to him, and many people feel that there is no hope. Luffy refused to believe it and deliberately retorted, maybe this guy is lucky and his future is bright. Liu Kang smiled happily, har har, I've never seen such a situation in my life. Can you tell me how to continue this? Luffy suddenly had an idea, is it possible that this glass seed blooms from the center of the stone? Liu Kang was amused. This young man had clear ideas and was easily idealistic. So he pointed at the master craftsman who was doing the processing and said, that man is called Sun Jian. He is a famous master in this street. He has been engaged in jade polishing and processing for nearly 30 years. He can tell at a glance whether there is a flower in the center of the stone. Luffy was a little bit unconvinced, is it really that magical? I don't think so. Liu Kang didn't explain and told Luffy to just keep watching and he would know. Sure enough, when most of the people around him had almost left, the old master named Sun Jian spoke. Mr. Wang, based on my past experience, there is no need to make the second cut, otherwise you might lose all your money. While the stone still has some value, maybe someone will gamble on it, and you can get some money back. Mr. Wang was stunned for a moment when he heard this and said in disbelief. Master Sun, is there really no possibility of producing glass from this stone? Even a little bit would be great. Sun Quan looked around the stone again, frowning. I can't say there is no chance, but the probability is very small, almost negligible. I personally don't recommend you to continue driving. If this second knife still doesn't work, there will be no turning back. The few remaining onlookers also began to persuade Mr. Wang. Old Wang, why don't you just stop it? As long as you are willing to sell it, I will take it. The price is 500,000. As long as you promise me, I will transfer the money immediately. Yes, Lao Wang, what Lao Zhu said is right. As long as the Green Mountains remain, there will be no shortage of firewood. We must save some money to go home to our wives and children. These people seemed to know Mr. Wang, and they all began to persuade him earnestly. It seemed like he wanted to give him a hand. Or maybe they want to make a small investment for a big return. Seeing this, Luffy temporarily stopped using his X-ray eyes to observe. He was a little curious about how the king would make his choice. It was time to admit defeat and sell the raw stone that he bought for 5 million for 500,000 to stop the loss. He decided to go all the way and gamble until he lost everything and his family was broken up. Gambling on stones is so cruel. Just one cut can instantly cause the value of a stone to depreciate tenfold. It's really frightening. If it weren't for his X-ray vision, Luffy might never have touched this thing in his life. As the saying goes, either explode in silence or perish in silence. After a fierce ideological struggle, Wang Chong finally made a decision. After suddenly opening his eyes and looking enthusiastically at the original stone that had been split into 2 pieces, a suppressed roar came out of his mouth. Master Sun, please cut me 2 more times in the middle. I, Wang Qiang, don't believe it. I've spent tens of millions of dollars and I haven't made a single right choice. It is obvious that Wang Qiang has completely fallen into insanity. Seeing this, the few people around who were still trying to persuade him stopped talking and sighed helplessly. It's hard to persuade a dying ghost with kind words, but they tried their best. I wanted to help Wang Qiang, but he didn't appreciate it. Seeing this, Master Sun did not say anything and started cutting silently. With the second cut, the huge raw stone was split into 2 again, and was completely cut into 4 flat pieces. Unfortunately, this time it was the same as the first time. There is no trace of jade on the smooth inner surface. Wang Qiang lost the bet again. When the result came out, he looked much older in an instant. Luffy clearly felt that there was a kind of decadence bursting out from the other person's body. He knew that this person was about to fail. If the third knife still had no effect, Wang Qiang would most likely go crazy in an instant. At the same time, the few people who were originally watching had long since disappeared. For a moment, Luffy and his 3 companions were the only ones left in the huge venue. Luffy thought about it and felt that it was necessary to help the other party. Although he is selfish, he is not inhumane. Of course, he did not deny that there were other factors involved. For example, new text prompts appear in the field of vision. A pile of broken stones, worth 500,000. So he walked up to Sun Jian before he made the third cut and asked, "Uncle, do you want to sell this pile of broken stones?" Wang Qiang was stunned for a moment when he heard this. "Are you talking to me?" Luffy nodded. "Yes, it's your uncle. I feel like I have a lot in common with you, and I want to help you." Wang Qiang was even more confused. "You want to help me? How? You don't want to buy these broken stones?" Wang Qiang has completely given up the possibility of jade appearing. So in his mind, these raw stones are just a few broken stones, worthless. Luffy replied very seriously, "Yes. I just want to buy them. I have 50,000 yuan in my WeChat account, which is all my belongings. I want to use this money to buy them." Hearing this, Sun Jian and Wang Qiang were both stunned, and they all looked at Luffy in shock. They didn't understand why this seemingly ordinary young man would spend all his savings to buy this pile of stones. But the most surprised person was Liu Kang, who had been following Luffy. He was so anxious that he wanted to curse. "No way, young man, what's wrong with you? How come she started to be so kind as to pick up junk? The most important thing is that I won't make a penny from you picking up junk here. No. To make money by taking kickbacks. I, old man Liu, need to stop your stupid behavior." Chapter 20, Ice Jadeite. Liu Kang was really anxious and stood between Wang Qiang and Luffy. "Boy, don't be impulsive. Even if you have money, you shouldn't spend it like this. These broken stones are obviously worthless, yet you still paid 50,000 for them. Aren't you just being stupid? Although I am old and have no relationship with you, I can't just watch you jump into the fire pit. Listen to me, let's go now." Before he finished speaking, he took Luffy's hand and walked towards the store of his partner next door. He kind of regretted letting this brat come here to watch the fun. It almost delayed his chance to make money from kickbacks. But no matter how hard Liu Kang tried, Luffy beside him remained motionless. Obviously, the other party didn't hear what he just said. Just as he was about to continue persuading him, Luffy deliberately looked at him with an expression of disbelief. "Master, I thought you were a good person, but who would have thought you were such a heartless person? This uncle is almost bankrupt, and you don't even want me to help him. Do you have any humanity left?" This sudden moral blackmail made Liu Kang stand there in a daze, feeling neither here nor there for a moment. If he didn't pull the other person away. If this silly guy really uses up all his money to buy this pile of broken stones, I won't make a penny. All the preparatory work done before was wasted. But if he continued to drag Luffy away, it would be obviously inhumane and in line with what he had just said. There is a high possibility that both parties will part ways. It was no longer possible for him to make money from the other party. The worst thing is that not only did he not make any money, he also lost $50 in vain. This is simply a huge loss. Oh my god. How did he end up in such a situation? Trying to cheat someone but end up losing money. If those old guys knew about this, they would laugh their heads off. In the end, Liu Kang decided to give it a try and go along with Luffy's wishes. As long as the trust between the two remains, at least there will be a chance to make a killing from him in the future. So he sighed in a pretentious manner. Well, it's good for young people to be a little warm-hearted. Do more good things within your ability, and society will become more and more harmonious. After saying that, he let go of Luffy's hands. Then I stood aside with an expression that said, "I've tried my best, don't blame me if you regret it later." Although Luffy didn't say anything on the surface, he was actually laughing so hard in his heart that he could hardly stop grinning. If he didn't have the ability to see through things and knew what the other person was thinking, he would have probably really believed that everything was done for his own good. On the contrary, Wang Qiang seemed to have a much clearer mind after this ordeal. There was a struggle on his face. From a rational point of view, he felt that selling a pile of broken rocks to Luffy was his best option at the moment. Although 50,000 yuan is not a lot of money, at least I can take it home to pay for my son's tuition. But the gambler's mind was still playing tricks on him, and he believed that the young man must have other intentions by taking action at this time. He definitely saw that the third knife would be delivered, so he stopped himself. After all, there are not so many good people in this world who are willing to sacrifice their own interests to help others. For a moment, the three of them had their own thoughts. The scene fell into silence. Just then, Master Sun, who had been watching, spoke. Mr. Wang, are you ready to open the third knife? If not, I, an old man, have other things to do. There's one more thing I have to remind you of. You haven't paid me for the rough stone yet. These words became the last straw that broke Wang Qiang's psychological defenses. Yes. He has spent all his money to buy this stone. If nothing comes out after the third cut, I won't even be able to afford the money to cut the raw stone. By then, I'm afraid I won't even be able to leave this treasure street. Thinking of this, Wang Qiang immediately suppressed the throbbing in his heart, gritted his teeth and spoke to Luffy. Boy. If you transfer 50,000 to me now, this pile of raw stones will be yours. Luffy was secretly delighted when he heard that, and quickly transferred the money over. Wang Qiang seemed to be afraid that Sun Jian would go back on his word, so he quickly paid Sun Jian and disappeared. So in the huge gambling stone scene, Luffy, Liu Kang and Sun Jian were the only ones left. Luffy doesn't have time to care about so many things. After successfully obtaining ownership of the pile of stones, he immediately ran over to take a closer look. He was a little curious about where the value of 500,000 indicated by the X-ray vision came from. After all, no matter how you look at it, it's just a pile of ordinary stones. Seeing him like this, Liu Kang started to complain from behind, "Boy, you didn't listen to the old man and now you're suffering." Luffy didn't bother to pay attention to him. After taking a closer look, he looked at Sun Jian and said, "Master, can you help me cut these stones a few more times?" Sun Jian smiled and replied, "Of course it's no problem, but I need you to provide some help." Luffy didn't quite understand. "You want me to provide something? What do you mean?" Liu Kang continued to interrupt, "You idiot, you don't think that mining the rough stone is free, do you? If you want these masters to cut the stone, you have to pay them." Luffy belatedly remembered the scene of Wang Qiang paying the bill just now and asked a little embarrassedly, "Master Sun, how much would it cost to cut all these stones into smaller pieces?" Sun Jian glanced at Liu Kang beside him, then looked at Luffy, and finally decided to report the number according to the market price. He and Liu Kang had a very ordinary relationship and had never cooperated with each other. If you report too much, it will be easy for the other party to expose it. Although this pile of rocks is not big, it would be troublesome to cut them all up. "I won't cheat you, so I'll charge you 2,000. Luffy thought he had heard wrongly. "How much?" 2,000. Sun Jian nodded, "Yes, that's 2,000. I can cut it any way you want." Seeing him like this, Liu Kang joked, "Boy, it's not too late for you to regret now. In my opinion, the loss of 50,000 yuan is a loss. Just consider it as a lesson learned. And there's no need to spend the $2,000 for cutting the stone, or you'll regret it." Liu Kang was certain that this pile of stones would not be shipped. So he thought that the more sincerely he tried to persuade Luffy now, the more grateful he would be after Luffy faced the reality. "So that I will definitely trust myself in the future. If I come to gamble on stones again, I will definitely look for him first. His business of making money from the price difference is the kind that he either doesn't open the business, or he can make a lot of money for a long time if he opens. So in order to maintain his image, he is still very patient." Little did he know that Luffy didn't want to pay any attention to him at all. At this moment, Luffy thought his behavior of persuasion was no different from that of a clown. Although 2,000 yuan for the labor cost is a bit expensive, it is not enough considering the upcoming 500,000 yuan. After pretending to hesitate for a moment, Luffy immediately turned to Sun Jian. Sun Jian was also not vague. As soon as he got the money, he immediately started to cut it up according to his requirements. Because the original stone has been divided into 4 pieces. So the speed is much slower than before. Fortunately, Sun Jian is also an experienced master and knows how to operate it quickly and conveniently. After a short while, the 4 raw stones began to decompose one by one. The first 3 pieces are the same as before, and after separating them, what you see is still a smooth stone interface. Seeing this scene, Liu Kang smiled even more deeply, and he even prepared in his mind how to comfort Luffy later. But who would have thought? But what he saw inside the 4th stone stunned him. No. Not only him, even Master Sun, who had always remained calm, was stunned. After cutting it open, a fist-sized piece of jade suddenly appeared on the originally smooth surface of the stone. It looks crystal clear and as dazzling as glass in the sunset. This caused the 3 people present to exclaim in surprise. "What the hell? Glass type Imperial Green." Chapter 21, I Want More. What? There's Imperial Green. The sudden noise immediately alarmed the pedestrians nearby, and they all stopped to watch. Some people who were close by had even come up to Luffy and the others and started commenting on the fist-sized emerald. Wow, this quality, this purity, this color, it's definitely glass-type imperial green. Although the area is a bit small, only the size of a fist, it is more than enough to make a few jade bracelets and jade rings. Who is the owner of the goods? As long as you are willing to give it up, I, Zhu, am willing to transfer 300,000 yuan on the spot to take it away. Before the man finished speaking, the people around him started to sabotage him. Lao Zhu! Who are you trying to fool? You want to blackmail such a big piece of glass-type imperial green for only 300,000 yuan. I, Shen, am putting this down. As long as the owner is willing to sell, I will give you 400,000 yuan. I can go to the car and get the cash now. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhu, who had spoken earlier, became unhappy and immediately prepared to start cursing. But before he could open his mouth, a middle-aged man with a big belly squeezed in. The two of you should stop playing double act here. We are all old acquaintances and we know each other very well. I, Wang Bao, am putting this on hold. I'm going to order this piece of glass-type imperial green. The price is 550,000. If you are willing, I can transfer the money now. Before he could finish his words, Wang Bao looked at Luffy with a smile. Seems to recognize him. Luffy was a little surprised by this, so he asked curiously, Mr. Wang Bao, how do you know that I am the owner of the goods? The crowd watching then realized that the owner of this excellent imperial green jade was actually so young. It seems that he is still a novice. So they began to speculate secretly. This young man is really lucky. I don't know how much he spent on the stone. Could this be the legendary novice protection period? How about I let my son try it next time? But before they had time to think about it, Wang Bao's heroic voice rang in their ears. Har 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 har, young man, you may not know this, but I was watching you in the car when you bought that stone from Wangqiang. As he spoke, he pointed to a large G-Class parked on the side of the road, indicating that it was his car. Luffy was a little confused, that uncle's surname is Wang, and your surname is also Wang, are you two related? Wang Bao shook his head. You're overthinking this. He and I are not related at all. If I must say, the most I can say is that we have met a few times. After listening to this, Luffy smiled and said nothing. Wang Bao spoke again, my friend, from 50,000 to 550,000, you have earned 10 times the profit in an instant. Would you consider selling it to me? Luffy was a little tempted when he heard this, but in the end he decided that the highest bidder would win. So he pushed through the crowd, stood on a high place and shouted loudly. Mr. Wang Bao has already offered 550,000 yuan. Is there anyone who offers a higher price than him? As soon as he finished speaking, people started bidding immediately, and the bids kept coming. Yes. I'll pay 560,000. I'll pay 565,000. I'll give you 580,000. For a moment, the scene was as lively as an auction. After a fierce competition, Wang Bao finally won the imperial green jade at a price of 650,000. Half an hour later. Both people and goods are cleared. Wang Bao smiled and looked at Luffy. You are quite smart and you even know how to find someone to raise the price. Luffy also pointed out without any concealment, I'm not raising the price at all, I'm just taking more money that should belong to me. Brother Wang, please don't tell me that this piece of glass-type imperial green will be worth less than 1 million after you get it. Wang Bao burst into laughter when he heard this. You are quite interesting, we can work together more often if we have the chance in the future. Luffy was surprised. I'm just a poor boy. I just got lucky today. How could I have the chance to cooperate with a big boss like you who deals with jade? Wang Bao blurted out after hearing this. Boy, I have always been very good at judging people. My intuition tells me that you are not an ordinary person. We will definitely have more interactions in the future. Luffy was about to reply when he suddenly noticed movement nearby. Then he suddenly changed the subject. Brother Wang, if we want to cooperate, there is no need to wait until later, maybe we can do it now. Wang Bao was stunned for a moment. Luffy, what do you mean by this? Luffy didn't say anything, but pointed to a large rock that had just been unloaded on the side. His meaning was self-evident. He wants to gamble again. Wang Bao suddenly realized what was going on and thought that the young man was a bit impulsive, so he tried to persuade him. Xiaolu, listen to my advice. Don't get too carried away with gambling on stones. I know you might be lucky, but I can't guarantee that you'll be right every time. As for the cooperation, I'm not in a hurry. We just added each other on WeChat. We'll have plenty of time to interact in the future. As soon as these words were spoken, Liu Kang, who had been standing silently by the side, became anxious. If he was not mistaken, Luffy just wanted to continue gambling on stones. The stone he was referring to happened to belong to his partner, Lao Li. With this bet, I, Old Man Liu, will make money. And now this kid has more than 600,000 in his hand. If this deal goes through, I'll get at least tens of thousands in commission. So without waiting for Luffy to speak, Liu Kang immediately refuted Wang Bao. Boss Wang, it's a good thing that young people are motivated and dare to fight. We old guys who are half buried in the ground can't discourage their enthusiasm. Otherwise, who will support the country's future development? Liu Kang also learned and practiced moral blackmail. But it is really outrageous to link gambling on stones with building a country. Luffy laughed out loud when he heard it. After looking at him deliberately, she said to Wang Bao, "Don't worry, brother Wang, I know what's going on. I am a superstitious person. I believe that as long as I do good things often, my luck will not be too bad. Unlike some people, who only know how to do evil things all day long and cheat some ignorant young people, their grandchildren will definitely have no butthole in the future." Liu Kang was stunned for a moment after hearing this. I feel like the other party is making indirect accusations. No. The expression on this guy's face clearly means this. After understanding what was going on, Liu Kang immediately blew his beard and stared at Luffy. Obviously very angry. This black-hearted little bastard. He has been pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. He even paid $50 to promote the deal. No, the old man can't stand this and must get the jade bracelet back. Luffy obviously knew what he was thinking and immediately reached out to stop him. Alas! Master, once something is given away, it is like water spilled out. You can never take it back. Seeing this, Liu Kang wanted to make trouble, but suddenly he found that Wang Bao was looking at him with unfriendly eyes. Their whole person trembled suddenly and was too scared to speak. In his haste just now, he almost forgot Wang Bao's other identity. Thinking of this, Liu Kang glared at Luffy fiercely and immediately fled. If he stayed any longer, he was afraid that his old bones would die. Luffy was a little puzzled by this and looked at Wang Bao in confusion. Brother Wang, what's wrong with him? Wang Bao smiled and said, maybe it's because I'm old and suddenly I'm sick. It's easy for people to be like this when they get old. Oh, right. Didn't you say you wanted to continue gambling on stones? Let's go and take a look together. Before he could finish his words, Wang Bao took the lead and walked towards the stone that Luffy had pointed at before. Luffy couldn't deny what he heard, and just looked at Wang Bao with his perspective eyes. Chapter 22, Don't Be Anxious. With a flash of blue light, another line of text appeared above Luffy's vision. Wang Bao, a gangster boss, he is outgoing and likes to make friends. Oh my god. Is the idea so hard? This was Luffy's first thought when he saw this text. He was not stupid and knew that the reason why Liu Kang ran away just now was definitely not as simple as Wang Bao said. That's why he used his X-ray vision the moment the other person had his back to him. He had thought that Wang Bao would have some status, but who would have thought that this status would be so special? Gangster boss. What special and impressive words. In this society with strict legal system, this identity can represent so many things. Strength, power, and background are absolutely indispensable. Otherwise, you will be sorry for these four words. Just when Luffy was thinking about whether to distance himself from this person, Wang Bao waved at him. What are you daydreaming about, Xiaolu? Come here. After Luffy hesitated for a moment after hearing this, he still felt that there was no need to deliberately distance himself. The reason is simple. Anyone who dares to work in the jade business will more or less be connected with some grey forces. As long as you frequently participate in gambling on stones, you will definitely be targeted by this kind of forces. At that time, he might be able to use Wang Bao's special identity to bully others. After sorting out his thoughts, Luffy trotted over with a smile. Sorry, brother Wang, I was just thinking about something. Looking at Luffy who was rushing over, Wang Bao jokingly said, are you regretting it? As your brother, I can tell you that it's not too late to regret now. For some reason, he enjoyed dealing with young people. Especially after meeting Luffy today, his left eyelid has been twitching. So he found this guy more and more pleasing to the eye. A gangster like him who has been involved in the underworld since childhood especially believes in these illusory things. Otherwise, the family would not have continued to worship Guan Eri. Hearing this, Luffy touched his nose in embarrassment, pretending to be embarrassed. Brother Wang, to be honest, I regretted it a little bit just now, but it's worth it when I think about meeting a big boss like you today. Wang Bao is also a passionate person and he immediately couldn't stop laughing. Afterwards, he patted his chest and said proudly, "Har har har, I just like Xiaolu's honest character. Just based on these words, if you encounter any difficulties in the future, just come to me. I will definitely help you deal with it beautifully." Luffy pretended to be surprised. "Brother Wang, are you so powerful?" Wang Bao nodded seriously. "Oh my, what are you talking about? Although I don't have much money, I still have some strength, especially my connections are amazing." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Bao smiled and looked at the middle-aged man next to him. "Don't you think so, old Li?" Li Peng immediately smiled apologetically upon hearing this. Yes, Brother Bao is a very loyal person. You will not suffer any loss if you can be friends with him." Luffy then realized that there was another person next to him, so he asked curiously, "Who is this?" Li Peng stepped forward and introduced himself. "My name is Li Peng, and I'm the boss of this Li's Jade Wholesale headquarters." Luffy smiled back and introduced himself. As soon as the two finished talking, Wang Bao spoke to Luffy again. "Xiaolu, I just had a casual chat with Lao Li. I have two pieces of news to tell you, one good news and one bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Luffy was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then immediately teased, "I always like to have bitterness before sweetness, so let's hear the bad news first." Wang Bao laughed and didn't keep the question in suspense. "The bad news is that the rough stone you just picked out is not cheap. It will cost at least 1 million. Based on my experience, you probably don't have that much money in your pocket. How is it? Are you a little panicked?" Luffy was not panicked at all, but continued to ask as if it was a serious matter. "Brother Wang, what is the good news?" Wang Bao smiled even more when he saw his reaction. He, this is great news. After friendly negotiations between me and Lao Li, he decided to give you a 35% discount and sell this rough stone to you for 650,000 yuan. Is that right, Lao Li?" Li Peng quickly nodded in agreement. Wang Bao seemed very happy and patted Li Peng's shoulder enthusiastically with his big hand. For a moment, both the guests and the hosts were enjoying themselves. But only Li Peng himself knew that he had no way of expressing his suffering. What friendly negotiation, what willingness to sell at a 35% discount, these are all wishful thinking on the part of Wang Bao. He never said that at all. But even so, he didn't dare to object. The reason is simple. Li Peng has been working in the jade industry for more than 10 years and has some connections. Naturally, I know the identity of this seemingly amiable fat man in front of me. Wang Bao, a gangster boss. In this area, both the black and white worlds are in control. With just one sentence, his jade shop might disappear into thin air. Therefore, I can only be angry but not say anything about what he just said. After all, he can still distinguish between a full meal and a full meal. Luffy was too lazy to delve into the reasons, so he accepted it with joy. My impression of Wang Bao, the gangster boss, has improved a lot. No matter what the other person's true appearance is, at least it will be really good for you. That's enough. 10 minutes later. The original place. Another stone gambling feast begins. A crowd of people gathered again. In the center of the circle, a young man was pacing back and forth. This person is Luffy. Looking at the prompts in his field of vision, Luffy felt a little nervous. A big stone, don't look at me as ugly, I'm really beautiful inside. Value unknown. That's right, the reason why he dared to spend hundreds of thousands just now was because of the line of text he got after scanning with his X-ray eyes. Although the value was not directly displayed like before, his intuition told him that this stone was not simple. After looking at it carefully for a while, he signaled to Master Sun that he could start. Because there was only a little jade texture exposed on the stone, Sun Jian chose to cut it sideways this time. Use a cutting machine to grind the surface of the stone little by little. In this way, if there is jade inside, its integrity can be well preserved. But who would have thought that Sun Jian had just scraped off the thin layer of skin on the outside, and the rich green color inside was revealed without any concealment? This scene caused everyone present to gasp. With this appearance, this color, and this transparency, it must be ice-type Imperial Green without a doubt. Based on the size of this stone, once it is shipped out, the value will definitely be in the millions. If it can reach more than half of its internal volume, its value is likely to exceed 5 million. Thinking of this, everyone went crazy. Some people who are impatient even start the quotation process by yelling. Chapter 23, Jadeite sold at a sky-high price. 1 million. I'll give you 1 million. As long as this guy is willing to give up, I, Commander, can give him the money right now. The man's voice was very loud, almost like he was screaming at the top of his lungs. So much so that everyone present turned their eyes to him. As far as the eye can see, a short Mediterranean man in his 30s is staring at the icy Imperial Green rough stone with a flushed face. I wish I could take it for myself right away. In response, Luffy just frowned and signaled Sun Jian to continue polishing. Joke. He is not stupid. He wouldn't make a move now if he knew there was stuff inside. Unless you are mentally ill. After receiving his instructions, Sun Jian did not hesitate and started to polish it again immediately. But this time his technique was slower and he polished it more carefully. I was afraid that I would accidentally damage the icy Imperial Green inside. For a moment, everyone held their breath and stared at the raw stone. Another 10 minutes later. After Sun Jian's meticulous carving, about a quarter of the stone's surface was polished away. The situation inside did not disappoint everyone. The rich and transparent Imperial Green appeared even more shiningly in front of everyone. Based on the current situation, the shipment of this rough stone is a foregone conclusion. The only thing that is uncertain now is what proportion of jade is in it. Is it a quarter of what it is now? Or more than half? Or rather, the entire stone? Thinking of this, more and more people began to get excited. This time, he took advantage of Sun Jian's break to start a new round of offers to Luffy. The first person to speak was the Mediterranean named Commander. 1.5 million. I'll pay 1.5 million this time. As long as this guy is willing to bear the pain and make the move, I can give you a Rolls-Royce voucher worth 200,000 yuan. It seems that Commander is going to gamble everything he has this time. He even took out the Rolls-Royce vouchers that were hidden in the bottom of the box. But who would have thought that before their words were finished, they were drowned out by another louder voice? What 1.5 million? You even have the nerve to take out vouchers. Don't you think it's embarrassing? I, Wu, am offering 2.5 million. And you can choose any transaction method you want. Transfer cash, house or car is fine. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes widened. This person actually raised the price by 1 million in one breath. It's obvious that he is determined to win. In just a moment, everyone's eyes gathered again and looked towards the source of the sound. In an inconspicuous corner, there stood a plain-looking middle-aged man in his 40s. Some sharp-eyed people have recognized him as Wu Jie, a famous stone gambler on Zhenbao Street. It is said that he owns part of the shares of a listed company and has assets worth hundreds of millions. Just when everyone thought Luffy would give in, he still looked straight ahead. He just whispered to Sun Jian silently, "Master Sun, please continue polishing." Such a calm performance immediately surprised everyone. Everyone began to wonder about his identity. Normally, young people like him would rarely remain calm when faced with a huge sum of more than 2 million yuan. Could he be the son or second generation of some family? Otherwise it wouldn't he be like this. In fact, only Luffy himself knows clearly. He was extremely excited now, and his little heart was beating so fast as if it was about to jump out. He really wants to take action now. But the text that just refreshed in the upper left corner clearly told him that now is not the time. A big stone, hey, I am beautiful, right? It is even more beautiful inside. The original embryo is worth 3.5 million. That's right. According to the information provided by the X-ray eye, this piece of ice-type Imperial Green is worth at least 3.5 million. In other words, if he sold it for 2.5 million, his income would be reduced by 1 million instantly. No matter how stupid Luffy is, he would never do such a stupid thing. Since you know you can sell it at a high price, but you still sell it at a low price, isn't that just giving money away? So under Luffy's instructions, Sun Jian started the polishing work again. 5 more minutes later. When more than half of the surface of the huge stone was covered with Imperial Green, Luffy finally asked Master Sun to stop. He knew that if he continued, he would not be able to maximize the value of this piece of icy Imperial Green. As the saying goes, hazy beauty is the easiest to seduce people's strongest desires deep in their hearts. What he has to do now is to completely detonate this desire. After thinking about it, he decided to repeat the same routine again. Live auctions again. After clearing his throat with a few coughs, he found the highest point and stood up again. After looking at everyone with his sharp eyes, he spoke solemnly. My name is Luffy, and I'm the owner of this piece of icy imperial green jadeite. I am now planning to sell this semi-finished rough stone on the spot. After careful consideration, I decided to hold an on-site auction. The rules of the auction are very simple, just for words, the highest bidder wins. Before he finished speaking, a heroic voice filled the entire scene. I, Wang Bao, offer 3 million. I hope you guys can give me some face. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole scene was completely ignited and everyone started bidding frantically. I'll offer 3.2 million. I'll pay 3.42 million. I'll pay 3.8 million. Joke. Everyone present is an expert, and now everyone knows everything clearly. As long as you get this piece of icy imperial green jade and process it well, you will definitely make money. If you operate it properly, you may even be able to double your money. If you don't grab it now, you'd be a fool. For a moment, the scene was filled with the sound of bidding. And as the sound gets louder and louder, more and more people are attracted. In the end, there were nearly 100 people in the 3 inner and outer floors combined. 15 minutes later, when Wang Bao called out the sky-high price of 5 million, even Wu Jie, a high-ranking stone gambler who had been competing with him, stopped raising the price. Needless to say, the final result. Luffy successfully tricked this gangster boss again. Looking at Wang Bao, who was so sincere in front of him, Luffy felt a little embarrassed. Brother Wang, this cost you money again. 5 million is too high a price. It's a bit beyond its original value. How about I give you a discount and charge you for million? Wang Bao was not happy. Xiaolu, what are you talking about? Although I am not particularly rich, I am not short of your 1 million. Besides, I didn't spend so much money just to buy this piece of lousy jade. Luffy was a little curious. Then what are you doing for, Brother Wang? Wang Bao was full of pride. Of course I'm happy to meet you today. This 5 million, consider it as a gift to you. If we have a chance in the future, we can keep in touch more often and become friends regardless of age difference. Luffy smiled innocently when he heard this, indicating that he would keep it in mind. He just found out about it too. This gangster boss Wang Bao, who looks only 40 years old, is actually over 50 years old. Even his youngest daughter is 3 years older than Luffy. Chapter 24, Landlord by Jie. After that, the two chatted for about 10 minutes. Wang Bao probably felt that the conversation here was not satisfying enough, so he wanted to drive the G-class to take Luffy back to his own manor to chat slowly. In response, Luffy naturally made an excuse that he was busy. Joke. Even though he now possesses this pair of magical eyes, he still doesn't dare to casually enter the home of a gangster. If anything goes wrong, his life will be game over. Although this pair of eyes is magical, it cannot currently increase his combat power. Today he is still just an ordinary young man. Wang Bao didn't take it seriously either. He just smiled and said they would meet again when there was a chance. After receiving a phone call, he drove away in his G-class. For a moment, Luffy was the only one left. He had no intention of staying any longer and quickly left Treasure Street. This was the first time he had a huge sum of 5 million yuan in his possession. Now, everyone he met thought that the other person was going to do something bad to him. After thinking it over, he even gave up the idea of spending lavishly tonight. I think it's better to go home first. As long as the money is in hand, he has the final say on when to spend it. There is no need to rush. 2 hours later. Gauker Garden Community. Luffy just got off the elevator and was about to open the door to go home when a surprised female voice suddenly sounded behind him. Hey Tilder, isn't this Xiaolu? You came back from get off work so early today. Luffy heard the voice and looked over. I saw a woman wearing a facial mask, carrying a garbage bag and wearing a loose black long casual dress standing at the opposite door. He knew this woman. Her name is Bai Jie, and she is the landlord of the house he rented. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also a very nice person. She often sends tenants some homemade snacks or postpones the rent payment deadline. It is said that she is already in her 40s, but she takes good care of herself and you can't tell. Once she dresses up and walks down the street, no one will doubt that she is a girl in her 20s. Luffy understands this point even more deeply. there was a big misunderstanding when he first met Bai Jie and her daughter. She just treated her daughter as her sister. At that time, Bai Jie couldn't stop smiling and kept praising him for his ability to handle things. Luffy is not stupid, so he just goes with the flow. Later, every time I met the landlord Bai Jie, I called her sister Bai. Therefore, Bai Jie had a very good impression of him. Every time I see him I will take the initiative to say hello. Of course Luffy also offered his services, and she called him Bai Jie and was very happy. This time is no exception. As soon as their eyes met, Luffy immediately smiled. How could that be possible, Sister Bai? I had something to do today so I asked for leave and didn't go to work. Otherwise, don't even think about seeing me at this point. Before he finished speaking, Luffy continued to ask curiously. Sister, shouldn't you be doing Pilates downstairs at this time? Why didn't you go today? He also happened to see Bai Jie practicing Pilates downstairs. At first he didn't know what Pilates was, but after searching on Baidu he suddenly understood. This is very similar to yoga, but much more intense. Generally, older women don't dare to try it. Bai Jie smiled when she heard this, and complained a little. Alas! I, your sister, have been feeling a little unwell these past few days, so I'm not going there for the time being. If I don't relax now, my little butt is almost gone. While speaking, Bai Jie even deliberately arched her body and made a waist and hip movement, as if she didn't treat Luffy as an outsider at all. As the saying goes, a man is like a wolf at 30 and like a tiger at 40. Women of Bai Jie's age are sometimes much more open-minded than those girls in their 20s. Instead, Luffy's mouth twitched and he was a little worried. He looked around carefully and reminded in a low voice, Sister, can we please pay attention to the impact? If outsiders saw this, who knows what rumors would spread? Bai Jie didn't care at all. What are you afraid of? This floor is all my house. If anyone says something stupid, I will raise his rent immediately. Luffy was stunned for a moment, unable to find an angle to refute. Because Bai Jie was telling the truth. The 4 houses on this floor are indeed all owned by the rich woman Bai Jie. And for some reason, the rental price is hundreds of dollars lower than the market price. After thinking about it, Luffy finally took out his ultimate weapon. I'm not afraid of other people, but it would be bad if Sister Ling saw it. She would definitely get mad at you again. When Bai Jie saw Luffy mention his daughter, she became even angrier and started complaining in dissatisfaction. Humph. That's the only bad thing about Bai Ling. I worked so hard to raise her since she was a child, but she has become more and more disobedient as she grows up, always going against me. What's wrong? As a mother, I have been single for too long and I am not allowed to have personal needs. It's totally unjust. Isn't that right, Xiaolu? Luffy laughed when he saw this. He didn't dare to respond casually. The mother can say whatever she wants when she complains about her daughter. But it would be inappropriate for an outsider like him to respond randomly, as it would easily cause misunderstanding. Even though Bai Jie says these things about her daughter Bai Ling, they actually have a very good relationship. Just a few days ago, when he came back from work, he saw from afar the mother and daughter walking in the community in sister outfits. Luffy didn't reply, and Bai Jie didn't care. She continued to speak to herself, Xiaolu, I am not a child anymore. Should I take advantage of this opportunity to give Bai Ling a brother or sister? Otherwise, she will seem quite lonely when I am 100 years away, without even a close relative to talk to. Hearing this, Luffy was completely confused. Hello, hey. The landlady. It seems a bit inappropriate to ask my opinion as a tenant on this kind of question, right? Isn't the right thing to do to seek your daughter's opinion? Besides, I'm just a poor boy, how can I understand the thoughts of a rich woman like you who has been widowed for many years? If it's just a casual remark. Alas? Etc. Something seems wrong. I already have a huge sum of 5 million in my pocket. No matter what, it can't be associated with poverty. If that is the case, then some thoughts that Shoal and Tea have existed before may now arise. For example. So, 3 years after knowing Bai Jie, Luffy took a serious look at his landlord for the first time. As the saying goes, only when a man has money can he stand straight and become strong. Luffy admitted that before this he didn't have the courage to look a rich woman like Bai Jie in the eye. Even though he sounds so familiar, he actually puts himself in a lower position in his heart. Sometimes I even feel a little inferior. I was afraid that the other person would suddenly change his attitude and look at me with disdain. Facing Luffy's gaze that suddenly became penetrating, Bai Jie, who had originally had a teasing look on her face, suddenly felt her heart tighten. I just felt that the young boy in front of me suddenly became a little different from before. Even the way he looked at me was a little different. It became so firm, and there was even a hint of something else in it. Chapter 25, Girl and Young Woman. But Bai Jie is not a young girl in her 20s who would be shy if stared at by a man. Instead, he raised the corners of his mouth and showed it generously. What's wrong, Xiaolu? Did you suddenly find your sister very attractive and want to turn into a hungry wolf and eat me up? It's fine to just say it. What Luffy didn't expect was that Bai Jie actually took a step forward as if nothing had happened and deliberately tightened the loose sweatshirt with her hands. Let the curvy and graceful figure inside show up. It seems like it is being offered up on your own initiative. Such behavior was a bit too much for Luffy, a newbie. He immediately lowered his head a little embarrassedly. Sister. I just remembered that I have something else to do in the room, so I won't talk about it for now. Before he could finish his words, Luffy hurriedly opened the door and ran in. For a moment, Bai Jie was the only one left in the spacious corridor. See this scene. Bai Jie couldn't hold it in any longer and giggled, covering her mouth. The reason why she likes dealing with innocent young men like Luffy is that she thinks it would be particularly interesting to tease them. They are all single anyway, so she won't suffer any loss if she meets someone she likes. At worst, the old cow can eat the young grass. This is the difference between how a young woman and a young girl treat certain things. The look Luffy gave just now. If a 28-year-old girl saw this, she would definitely curse him as a hooligan and quickly move away. But young women are completely different. As long as she doesn't dislike this person, she will definitely take the initiative to cater to him or even show more enthusiasm at the first time. Especially for a young woman like Bai Jie who has been widowed for many years, she would like all the young men to look at her. Doesn't this fully prove that I haven't grown old yet and am still full of charm? The other side. As soon as the door closed, Luffy's expression quickly returned to normal. One can't help but wonder if his previous behavior was deliberately performed for Bai Jie to see. In fact, Luffy admitted that there was some acting involved in what he did just now. The reason is simple. A large new combination of text appeared above his field of vision. And the content almost made him unable to hold back. That's right. Just when he was looking at Bai Jie, he also used his X-ray vision silently. The purpose is naturally to see if my landlord is consistent in his words and deeds. But who would have thought that his own eyes would suddenly play a joke on him? Some meaningful data combinations appear. Name, Bai Jie. Age, 42. Height, 165 centimeters. Radian, D+++. Recent times, 0.5. Physical condition, original state, strong internal heat, menstrual period, hidden injuries and pain in shoulders and back, appendicitis is about to occur, leg flexibility max. Luffy was a little confused looking at the text message in front of him that looked like a household registration check. No, brother. Are his eyes so distinctive now? Even such private information can be seen through. Let us not talk about age and curvature, which can be roughly estimated with the naked eye. Can anyone tell him what the recent number 0.5 means? It can't be that kind of thing. Luffy admitted that he was a little bit repressed in his heart, but this wouldn't affect his eyes. Fortunately, he was not the kind of person who would dwell on trivial matters, and he cleared the matter up in a short while. His eyes also moved to the physical condition in the last column and began to analyze them one by one. The original ecology should refer to the fact that the landlord Bai Jie has never had any surgery, which is worth a thumbs up. The excessive internal heat is probably related to her being single for many years. The menstrual period just happens to correspond to the discomfort Bai Jie just mentioned in the past few days. If that's the case, doesn't this mean that the impending onset of appendicitis is also coming true? Thinking of this, Luffy fell into thought. When he was considering whether to tell the other party in advance, Zhang Hao's voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Laolu, why have you been standing at the door like an idiot since you came back? Did something happen to you? Luffy looked up when he heard that. He just happened to see Zhang Hao holding a bottle of ice cola, standing in the aisle and looking at him with concern. Seeing this scene, Luffy felt a little strange. Zhang Hao has always been a casual person and rarely shows such meticulousness. In the past, if I saw him standing at the door in a daze, I would just glance at him, say hello and then leave. At most, I would sometimes ask a few more questions about why you come back so late recently. But I have never been so attentive before. There is a problem, absolutely there is a problem. Thinking of this, Luffy temporarily put Bai Jie's matter aside. He immediately looked at his roommate with suspicion. Howzy, tell me the truth. Have you secretly done something to offend me again? After thinking about it, Luffy suddenly remembered something from the past. This seemed to be the case when Zhang Hao once borrowed his notebook to reward himself and accidentally formatted the torrents he had treasured for many years. Therefore, Luffy had reason to suspect that something similar had happened again. As expected. Looking at the expression on Luffy's face, Zhang Hao immediately felt a little guilty. That old road, listen to me, no, it's an explanation. I really didn't mean to use your computer to watch the movie. I was just a little impulsive at the time, and you were the only one who had the Blu-ray of those collectible editions. Luffy didn't think it was a big deal, so he just used it as long as there were no problems. But who would have thought that Zhang Hao's next words would make him feel a little bit amused and helpless? Because this guy actually formatted his computer again. Luffy really didn't understand this. Hiroko, did you do this on purpose? This is the second time. Besides, formatting can't be done in just 1 or 2 steps. I have reason to suspect that you are jealous that I have the rare video of Mr. Aoi, so you did this. Zhang Hao immediately cried out, don't blame me this time. Who told you not to open the firewall when you logged into 91 last time? As a result, you didn't even know that your computer was infected with a virus. I only discovered it afterwards. At that time, all the files in your notebook were almost eaten up. Luffy felt something was wrong. How come the file was eaten up again? Didn't you say to format it? Zhang Hao didn't say anything. He pulled Luffy to the living room and motioned for him to look at it himself. On Luffy's laptop screen, a Q version of Hatsune Miku was jumping around. Having a lot of fun. Zhang Hao pointed at her and said with great sorrow. I checked it out. This thing is called the Hatsune virus. It may not seem harmful, but once you get tired of it, it will keep eating folders and icons on the screen. I forgot to shut down your computer after using it, and when I found out, it turned out like this. At that time, almost everything on the screen had been eaten up. In the end, I had no choice but to format your computer, but who would have thought that she was still here? After hearing the whole story, Luffy took a while to understand. Looking at Hatsune Miku, who was constantly jumping and waving at him on the screen, he felt a little annoyed. He had seen this thing last night and thought it was an electronic pet that came with the software, so he didn't take it seriously. In the end, it was all his own fault. Chapter 26. What? You want me to fix the water pipe? At this point, Luffy has given up the idea of continuing to use this computer. Now that I have a huge sum of money in my pocket, it's time to upgrade my weapons. He has decided to go shopping in the mall when he has free time in the next few days. Go through all those electronic products that you have always wanted but couldn't get due to price factors. Experience what it's like to be a nouveau riche. But Zhang Hao had no idea what he was thinking at the moment. Seeing that Luffy kept looking down at the notebook and didn't say anything, I thought he was angry. He immediately patted his chest and said, don't worry, Laolu, I will take my computer to find a master to restore it for you tomorrow. I guarantee it will be exactly the same as before. Luffy looked at him unhappily. Forget it, Howzy, have you forgotten the lesson from last time? I went to the computer mall to restore a file, but was ripped off for over 400 yuan. It's like giving money away to someone. Zhang Hao was a little embarrassed. Isn't it because I have no experience for the first time? I'll be fine this time. Luffy didn't believe it and deliberately joked, you're still familiar with him, I think you're going to kill someone you know. Forget it, Howzy. Didn't I win tens of thousands of dollars in a scratch-off lottery yesterday? I can take this opportunity to change my computer. It just goes like that, the old must go before the new can come. Zhang Hao was naturally happy about it, as he didn't have to pay for it now. So he immediately looked at Luffy with a smile, that would be great. How about we invite Wang Jiao to celebrate together when we have time? Luffy was alert, what are you celebrating? Isn't it just because I bought a new computer? Howzy, let me tell you, this kind of thinking is unacceptable. Isn't this a clear attempt to attack me? Zhang Hao immediately denied it, oh, it's not what you think. Luffy was a little confused, why are you celebrating? Zhang Hao revealed the answer, Laolu, do you still remember the demon boy with 15 skills yesterday? I sold it today. The seller was a super rich man in the district. Luffy's eyes lit up. Really? Tell me how much it sold for. Zhang Hao was very excited. Can you believe it? 30,000 yuan, exactly 30,000 yuan. Luffy was a little confused. Is this a high price? Zhang Hao explained immediately. High. Very high. According to its original value, the most it could have been worth is 15,000. This has doubled its value. How can I not be excited? We are lucky. A local tycoon was obsessed with refining monsters. I casually listed a price of 30,000 yuan in the treasure pavilion and he bought it in seconds without even bargaining. As soon as the money arrives, I will immediately transfer 5,000 yuan to you as dividends. Zhang Hao became more and more excited as he spoke, and his face turned red. Obviously, 30,000 yuan was a huge sum of money in his eyes. In fact, if it weren't for this magical pair of eyes, plus the 5 million I earned this afternoon, there is a high possibility that he will be grinning from ear to ear like the other person. According to Zhang Hao's personality, at least 6,000 yuan of the 30,000 yuan windfall will be given to him. It's almost equivalent to his 2-month salary. But now that he is rich, he doesn't plan to keep it anymore. After thinking about it, he said directly to Zhang Hao, "Haozi, why don't you just forget about the money you gave me? You did all the work. The stuff just happened to appear on my account." Zhang Hao was stunned. "Laolu, what do you mean?" Luffy said deliberately as he made up an excuse he had thought of before. "I won over 50,000 yuan last night, so I don't care about your share of the dividends anymore, so I don't want it." Zhang Hao immediately objected, "That won't do. You won't get any of the dividends we agreed on. If you don't accept, I will still spend all the money on your account as before." Luffy was about to refuse, but was interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. When he turned around and wanted to speak again, Zhang Hao had disappeared. There is no doubt that she went back to the bedroom in order not to continue discussing what happened with him. Luffy wasn't surprised by this. The two of them have been sharing a house for such a long time that they know exactly who the other person is. Zhang Hao is a very principled person and it is difficult for him to change his mind once he has made up his mind. Thinking of this, Luffy sighed. I decided to go and see who was knocking on the door. It seemed like someone was in a hurry. After the door opens, Luffy was a little surprised to see the landlord by Jie, who was wearing pajamas and looked anxious. It's late at night, and unfortunately, the widow is playing the role of a widow knocking on the door. It will easily cause misunderstanding. So he immediately asked, "Sister Bai? Why is it you? Did something happen?" Seeing Luffy appear, Bai Jie was delighted. "Xiaolu, are you busy now? I have something to ask you." Luffy was a little confused. "I'm free, sis, just tell me what you want to say." Bai Jie was rarely shy. "Well, my water pipe is broken, could you help me fix it?" Luffy thought she was joking, so he deliberately joked, "Sister, don't talk nonsense this late at night. Repairing water pipes is a big job, it requires both physical strength and technical skills, I may not be able to do it." Bai Jie was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and rolled her eyes at him in annoyance. "Go away, I'm talking to you seriously. The water pipes at home are really broken. The kitchen is almost like a flood cave. You know, I'm an expert at spending money on things, but I don't know anything about electrical pipes, valves, etc." Luffy still didn't believe it, and looked at Bai Jie hesitantly. "Sister, is your water pipe really broken?" In order to prevent her house from being flooded, Bai Jie didn't care about anything else. Straight up and grabbed Luffy's arm and dragged him home. Such behavior immediately scared Luffy. Good and loud bang. Are people raping decent men and women so blatantly now? Just as he was considering whether he should take the initiative, the sound of water suddenly caught his attention. Look carefully. The huge kitchen had long been covered with accumulated water, and the water had even begun to flow over the sliding door into the living room. If it had been any later, the entire living room would have been affected. Seeing this, Luffy didn't hesitate. He rushed into the kitchen and quickly turned off the tap. Bai Jie breathed a sigh of relief when she saw this. The heart that was hanging in the air just now finally settled down. She almost thought her house was going to be flooded. Just as he was about to open his mouth to thank Luffy, he suddenly realized that his t-shirt was soaked by the tap water that had just been sprayed. Now the thin bodysuit is tightly attached to the skin, and the 8 abdominal muscles are faintly visible on the lower abdomen. The most outrageous thing is that the casual pants on Luffy's legs are also like this. Such a scene full of male hormones immediately made this young woman, who had been widowed for many years, a little overwhelmed. For a moment, Bai Jie not only blushed a little, but also had a lot of thoughts in her mind. Chapter 27, It's Good to Be Young. See this situation. Luffy was a little confused. It was the first time he saw the landlord Bai Jie so shy. I was immediately filled with doubts. No, sister, I didn't do anything. I just turned off the tap. Why did you make me blush? You weren't like this before. Because his attention was not on himself at the moment, he naturally didn't know that he was wet. Bai Jie's heart tightened when she saw the expression on Luffy's face. He whispered a few words to himself in his heart and immediately adjusted himself. He looked at Luffy with a smile. Oh, this time it's all thanks to Shalu, otherwise I don't know what to do. Luffy was a little speechless, and immediately reminded, actually, you can also ask the property management. They come pretty quickly. Bai Jie slapped her forehead and realized something a little belatedly, that's right. If you hadn't reminded me, I would have almost forgotten about them. Forget it, now that everything has been resolved, let's not talk about it anymore. Before she finished speaking, she deliberately asked, by the way, Shalu, I saw that the water was quite heavy just now, did you get wet? As soon as she finished speaking, a pair of beautiful eyes looked at Luffy's whole body without any concealment. It seemed like she was helping him find out where he got wet. But in fact, only she herself knows what she wants to do. It is fake to care about whether the other person's clothes are wet, but it is real to take a few more glances. Even though Bai Jie was an experienced person, she had never seen such a rare thing. As the saying goes, men are lustful on the surface, women are lustful from the heart. In fact, if we really want to choose the most lustful creature in the world, the crown must belong to a woman. Obviously, Bai Jie is the best among them. Looking at Bai Jie's increasingly fiery eyes, Luffy knew something was wrong even if he was slow-witted. I looked down along the line of sight. Wow. Good job. So he looked at Bai Jie with a strange look in his eyes. Seeing this, Bai Jie was not at all flustered and gave her suggestion without blushing or beating her heart. Xiaolu, I see you are soaked all over, why don't you change your clothes first so we can talk later? Luffy glanced at Bai Jie quietly, and was determined to shock people with his words. Sister. I think you are also wearing the same, why don't you go change your clothes too? Bai Jie looked down at herself and asked, where is it? Hey Tilda, I'm fine, right? Just as I was wondering if Luffy had seen it wrong, I suddenly froze. Then he looked at Luffy with resentment. This guy. How dare you start making fun of your own landlord so blatantly? It's totally lawless. If it weren't for the fact that you just pleased me, I wouldn't let you go so easily. 10 minutes later. The living room of landlord Bai Jie's house. As soon as Luffy sat down, Bai Jie immediately handed him a cup of hot tea. Xiaolu, I'm really sorry for bothering you just now. Drink a cup of hot water to warm yourself up first. Luffy took it without hesitation and immediately took a big sip to warm his stomach. It is the beginning of autumn now, and the temperature drops as the night progresses. In addition, he had just been soaked in cold water, so he actually felt a little cold. After taking a sip, he felt refreshed. She couldn't help but moan in comfort. Seeing this, Bai Jie smiled and said nothing. Ever since I saw Luffy's 8-pack abs and his special skills just now, the more she looked at him, the more she liked him. The good thing about being young is that not only are you in good health, you also have capital. Luffy also noticed that something was wrong with her, and while drinking tea he was quietly sizing her up. It would not matter if he did not look at it, but once he did, he discovered some details. If he remembered correctly, Bai Jie was wearing a light red pajamas. But now it has turned into pink pajamas. The most important thing is that this pajamas seems a little bit indecent. The lace is actually lace. At this moment, in this situation, how could he not think too much about seeing a man and a woman alone in the same room? Could it be that some signal is being sent secretly? Should he secretly use his X-ray vision to take a look? It would save trouble if we find any clues. After all, we live in a society ruled by law. Even the freedom of love requires mutual consent. As long as the woman doesn't want to, there are hundreds of ways to put the man in jail in minutes. So Luffy no longer hesitated and glared at Bai Jie quietly. With a flash of blue light, a new combination of words appeared. By Jie, female hormones are continuously secreted. Okay. This time is different from last time. Could the continuous secretion of this female hormone be the legendary mating hormone? After thinking for a moment, Luffy decided to pluck up his courage and give it a try. Combining some of the information that Bai Jie saw when she used her X-ray eyes, Luffy quickly formulated a strategy. All things are difficult at the beginning. Let us start with physical contact. So he rolled his eyes and broke the silence first. Sister Bai, have you felt any discomfort in your back recently? Bai Jie was stunned for a moment, and said in surprise, yes, how did you know? Luffy began to make up a story. You may not believe it, but I have learned a little bit of Chinese medicine. I only need to take your pulse to know the general condition of your body. Bai Jie became interested. Don't lie to me, if you don't, I will raise your rent next month. Luffy was full of confidence. Hey, if it's not allowed, you can even double the rent next month. Bai Jie had a desire to win, and she said it deliberately for some reason. I won't take advantage of you. If you are really that capable, I can satisfy a small request of yours that is not too excessive. As she said this, she stretched out a jade hand and placed it in front of Luffy, motioning him to call at will. Seeing her take the initiative, Luffy felt more and more that his previous guess was true. So he changed his mind and put his fingers on Bai Jie's veins and started pretending. But who would have thought that as soon as the two sides touched, Bai Jie pulled her hand away and stared at him. Hey Xiaolu, you're not going to take advantage of me by taking advantage of me, are you? Luffy naturally would not admit it and immediately retorted. Sister, don't you know me? I'm a gentleman. I won't do those dirty things. As he said this, he patted the coffee table, indicating that it was safe to continue. Somehow, after hearing what he said, Bai Jie gave him a very charming look. Hey, I'm an experienced person, so I know what you men are thinking. What's the saying? A man's words are deceiving. That's what Bai Ling's dead father told me. You still say you're a gentleman. You just rub the quilt on the heater and never do anything to me. The result was such a commotion that night. It was simply unbelievable. Looking at the various seductive little expressions on Bai Jie's face, and the little gestures that were full of the charm of a mature young woman, coupled with her slightly drawn eyes, Luffy admitted that he was a little impulsive.